Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy last Saturday of February, last day of February. Of course, it's Black History Month. Got shorted 28 days. Couldn't give us a longer month. That's fine. And guess what happens next week? We get screwed out of that hour again. So we'll spend the next 6 months chasing that thief until November to get it back. Welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live edition of the Sci-Fi Center Presents. I am your host, William. And here we are on time tonight. Cool. Pretty stacked show. Not too many topics, but I'm pretty sure we will be talking about them at length, more so than a lot of the little stuff we talk about. I do have a guest backstage, another independent creator, so we're going to bring him out in a couple of minutes and talk about his new comic. So also, if you guys know people that are working on projects right now that are doing GoFundMes or Kickstarters or raising funds through other means, and you'd like to get them some time on the show, I'm always more than happy to give them the spotlight here. I'd love to be a part of somebody being able to create their thing. You know how I feel about creators. People who are creative and actually get about the creating part of it. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people sit around. A lot of people literally grow old in their own skin, regretting never taking that plunge, never taking that shot. And so anybody who has or is in the process of doing so, I'd love to have them on the show. So we'll go ahead and get to that. Also, we are going to topics on the day. We're going to be talking about some recommendations. I am not going to review these. I have read them, but I'm not going to review them in notes. I'm going to recommend out of all the stuff I read this week. These are going to be the things I recommend. We'll go over that because I really want you guys to go out and experience these things yourself. A lot of good stuff came out this week. We will go over the glorified Raw. That was the WWEs Elimination Chamber. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was somewhat predictable. I just am not feeling the road to WrestleMania. And like I said, full disclosure, when it comes to WWE, that product hasn't been for me in almost 2 decades. I still watch it because there are still, just like anything, there are still patches and spots on it that entertain me. But for the most part, going through the motions, WrestleMania is here in Vegas this year again. And generally, you'd think I'd be excited. I am excited because all the other wrestling stuff that'll be going on around it. But as far as the show itself goes, and let's see. I'm going to go chat. I don't care about the Scary Movie trailer. I really don't care. I know the co-host cares even less. I should do a segment with creators. They talk about their having a burger. Nah, I don't like eating on the air, but the having the creator on there, that's a good thing. I listen, open invitation, and it doesn't have to be, we try to keep it science fiction, horror, fantasy, and comic books, but creating is creating. Finally, time correcting it. No, I live in a place that's 114 degrees during much of that time. They can keep it. How you doing, Ozzy? And there's the duck. All right. So probably going to be last up because it's probably going to take a little bit longer. We're going to discuss something I hinted to you guys about until 2:21 this last Thursday afternoon, which was the dumbest merger of all time. It could be replaced by it, but prior to that, the one that had held that championship trophy for almost 25 years was the AOL Time Warner merger, the absolute fucking dumbest move any company has ever made. I'm going to go into some details about that, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and my first guest is working on a project called Glitch. Now, inside the description, his link is there. All the stuff you need, and I'm going to just read a little bit before I bring him on. In the year 2065, well, not that far away, technology has developed to the point where tech giant Rivon Tech has begun to produce human-sized assistant androids called TIE units, which are live-in assistants that take care of the basic maintenance of home. In an attempt to break into the lower middle-class market of customers, founder and CEO Rivon Tech greenlights a one-time lottery of lower-class Chicago citizens to receive a free TIE unit. Due to negligence during the manufacturing, our main character, TIE, is built with one major flaw. He's missing an intelligence inhibitor chip. As a result, he begins to develop his own sense of individuality, personal goals, and moral compass. Partnered by poor maintenance leads him to, I'm sorry, these are big words for me today, I don't know why. Leads him to deteriorate physically and mentally, and over time, lose respect for human beings, and his own twisted attempts to help his favorite human beings, the family's only child, Leah. He causes a tragedy that will shake the family forever. This single act begins Ty's journey further into insanity and the worst of the human experience. And on that note, I am going to go ahead and bring in Brad first, because he was right on time, like 2 minutes late. And then the creator of said project, Dawson Rydrick.
What is up, guys? Good to see you.
How you doing, man?
I cannot complain. And Brad, I think this is the first time where we've been on a show where you've had a camera.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, it took us a while. That took a while to get to. Trust me.
Yeah, one of my personal eccentricities, but that's all their story.
Yeah, and then to get a computer that works, and then get the speakers that work, to get microphones that work. It's been a process. It's been like the 12-step process when it comes to.
Let me also address real quick Fort's comment. Yes, I've seen the trailer. Yes, it looks stupid. Yes, it's going to be garbage, just like the rest of this series is. No, I will not be seeing this movie.
From everybody I've sent to Scream, I've heard that it's scary movie level bad. Have you seen it? Has anybody seen it?
I've seen the new Scream. Yeah, and anyone telling you it's scary movie level bad should not be anything. Anybody telling you anything is scary movie level bad should not be taken seriously.
I all the people that I sent to this have told me it's one of the worst movies they've ever seen. Is it that? I'm not forget about scary movie. Is it that bad?
That's
I usually don't go 0 for 6.
Say again?
I usually don't go 0 for 6 when usually if I send 6 people, 3 of them will come back okay, and then one of them say it's awful, and you have like a scattered opinion. I've never sent all 6 people, and all 6 people told me that they thought it was horrible. So I guess you'll be 7. I didn't send you, but you thought it was.
I'm still gonna get my thoughts together. I'll probably have more like a kind of comprehensive thoughts tomorrow. Part of it's just because I at this point I don't know if I really have a dog in the fight of definitely not the scary movie franchise, but Scream. I've kind of like because I had said on the show many times, like, hasn't Sydney suffered enough? But,
her story is over. But
yeah, this new one, it's like, I mean, it's it gets the job done as a slasher movie, as a Scream movie, I think. But it's I know I'm kind of like, if they never make another Scream, it's like I can live with that.
All right, well, Dawson, since you're the man of the hour, tell us about your.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was answering.
Tell us about your project, man.
Yeah, well, first off, I appreciate seeing you guys again. It's been a while. I know, William, I saw you on Dave Pena's show a couple weeks ago, and it's been kind of cool seeing all the old podcast crew over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, so you read the summary that is on the Kickstarter page, but 𝔇𝔠 this is the first issue of what's going to be a 3-issue miniseries. It's a near future sci-fi. And for people who like stories like Ex Machina, iRobot, Bicentennial Man, or Chappie, this is definitely in your wheelhouse. You know, about an android who has artificial intelligence and starts to kind of, you know, learn and grow in his own way and his own interpretation of what's right, what's wrong, what his purpose is, and all that stuff. It starts to really shape his actions. And the thing that I've loved talking to people about with this book is that this is actually a character, or at least the bare bones concept of a character that I've had for over a decade and a half. My little brother and I first created him back in I want to say 2010. And finally was able to get a story together, have the creative team. And the fact that we're making this a reality is really, really awesome. A long time coming. So it's been really cool to see the support. And we have 42 backers in the Kickstarter, which is incredible.
Yeah, you're really close to your goal, by the way.
Actually, we surpassed it. Yeah, we.
Oh, you surpassed it? Okay, that was our good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was the goal was 3,500, and we're currently sitting at about 3,960. So we're at about 113% funded, which is awesome. Which means it's for sure happening. Which was the biggest relief. I cannot tell you, when we reached that 100%. This weight just left my shoulders. It's like, oh, I can relax, I can breathe. But yeah, we're very, very, very excited that we got it funded. We have colorist Dan Kemp, who's working on the colors for this book with me. And he's also just been very involved in the creative process, putting a lot of input. We message multiple times a week about the book, and a lot of the funds for the Kickstarter are going to make sure that he's paid for his work, because obviously he's Dan freaking Kemp. He deserves to be paid his fair share.
Well, how did you get him? That's kind of that's. I mean, no, not to knock you, but how? I mean,
yeah,
that's a big get.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, I still can't believe that it happened either. But it actually started out 2 years ago. I went out to Denver for a small convention. It was a Spawn Con, and while I was there, I got to meet in person another artist friend of mine, Jake Goodman, who's he's done a bunch of different things, and he's making his way in the comic industry. And he had partnered with Dan's brother Dave on some projects. And I messaged him and I was like, hey, how do I get to work with either Dave or Dan Kemp? And he's like, honestly, just ask. He's like, just shoot him a message.
That's legit to eat. Listen, you're gonna get 1,000 no's. Nobody's gonna care about the 900 and whatever. That one yes though, dude, that changes everything.
Exactly. It's I have a good buddy, Matt Slay, who's a comic artist. He did a lot of stuff for
No way that's his real name, by the way. There's no way that
oh, it is. It's his real name. It's his name. But anyway, he always tells me, have the audacity to ask. Like you said, people can say no, but they're not going to say yes unless you ask, right?
Yeah.
And so it was over a year and a half ago, I was actually just sitting in my living room and I was talking to my wife about it, and I shot Dan Kemp a message. And over the next couple hours, we were messaging back and forth about different things that I'd wanted to do, in partnership with him. And I don't get starstruck very easily. I tend to keep my composure pretty well. But as I was messaging back and forth, my wife can attest, I was like, this is freaking Dan Kemp I'm messaging with. I was kind of bouncing around a little bit because, I mean, you guys know he colored a lot of Spawn. He colored Amazing Spider-Man. He's done a lot of things for Marvel, DC, and an independent sphere. He's doing stuff for the Spawn universe recently with.
He's doing Gunslinger, I think, isn't he? I have to go over there and look. I think he's either doing Gunslinger or King Spawn. One of those two, I thought.
He did the I Saw Santa series.
Okay.
And then he also did a cover for the new She-Spawn book that's coming out. Him and his brother Dave colored that one with Daniel Henriquez, I think, is one who inked it. I'm trying to remember who penciled it. It might have been Brett Booth, but either way, yeah, he's done a lot of amazing things in the comic world. And so when I first messaged him, I was just doing a couple of collaboration pieces with him, and then eventually I was like, hey, I'm working on a script for my own book. Would you be interested in coloring it? And he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's get everything put together. He was talking me through all the different things I needed to get done and helped me to figure out the Kickstarter and everything, and has just been an incredible mentor and support to me, which, I mean, freaking Dan Kemp giving me advice all the time is awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool when you have a named person even respond to you and recognize that you exist. I've had when it's happened to me, I'm like, wow, this is the joke. Somebody's screwing with me, but nah. Now I'm looking at this, and you brought up some of the influences that you put into it. I got one that maybe I'm going to be way off. Westworld.
I could see that. I've personally never watched Westworld. I've never
Okay.
I haven't had taken the time to watch it. I've heard great things overall. But I mean, from everything that I know, I mean, yeah, you definitely see a little bit of that in there.
Well, getting the worst of mankind, because basically what ended up happening throughout that season, it's mankind. We're the monsters, and as these robots leave the amusement park, or they evolve beyond the amusement park, automatons, automations that they're supposed to be, they start to develop and they start to absorb the worst that we are, and it screws them up. So that's when you said that, and then when I read the synopsis, I'm like, this reminds me of the middle seasons of Westworld, but.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of that in there for sure. I think one thing that I really tried to do with this series, and again, it's going to be 3 issues. This Kickstarter's for the first, is to really emphasize the point that in the story, there's not necessarily any bad or good guys, because in real life, everybody's a little bit of a shade of gray, right? Everybody's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad.
Oh no, man, there's some assholes out there, but yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Everyone likes somewhere in the middle. Some people are a little far closer to each edge than most, but I really wanted to emphasize that as a point in this series where, the people that are involved, they're a little bit of a shade of gray. And, this android, of course, he's just absorbing things around him and he's having a hard time processing all of it and making sense of it all. And so there's a little bit of that, Westworld that you were talking about, those different themes going on, but a little bit more, I guess, interpretational, I guess, for him anyway. So I just wanted to make it more realistic in that sense.
Yeah, from beginning to end, how long did it take you to get everything done, as far as not the funding, but as far as like pen and paper, putting it all together?
Yeah, so I'm doing the pencils and the inks. I did the first 7 pages traditionally with pencils, and then after that I switched over to digital pencils and inks just because I was able to get more of a workflow and get things done faster. But so this first issue is 34 pages. I had to work on it off and on just because I had like commissions and other work to do around it. But if I were to solely just be working on the book itself, I'd say a total of like maybe a month and a half work time, like work days, I guess, all put together. The second and third issue will be much faster. In fact, I've been working on the pencils and inks for the second issue because this first issue is 34 pages and the next issues are about 24 and then 25 pages because there's a decent amount of setup that has to happen in the first issue, like with any story.
Yeah, giant size first issue. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, I tend to work pretty fast. In fact, Dan I have some messages from him where he straight up just calls me a robot sometimes, where he's like, dude, you're just getting this done super fast. Like, holy crap, dude, like, chill.
Yeah,
which
Brad, you have a question?
Oh, yeah. A couple real quick. First of all, you mentioned kind of like the Chappie, like one of the influences on is Blomkamp's Chappie, which I actually find that I think that's probably his most underrated work. I really like Chappie. I feel that's really aged well in the last decade. And yeah, I can definitely see that in kind of like the synopsis you've given, but like just to run down again real quick, like what were like the big influences here, like Chappie and like what else?
Bicentennial Man, iRobot, and Ex Machina.
Yeah, and yeah, Aaron's mentions the artwork reminds her a lot of Bicentennial Man. So yeah, kind of going off of that. Now you mentioned also like AI. Of course, it's a big theme and like topic in the book. Now I know our all of our viewers are curious about this. I certainly am too. It's like, will this book involve a fight scene between Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt?
I wish I could say yes, because that'd be hilarious. I don't know. Maybe I could throw that in on like a TV screen at some point in the next couple of issues or something. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm all over the place now with the how much particularly in the last 2 weeks or so. But yeah, like if you want to like really like be meta with that, it's like I feel like that'd be like kind of like the way to do it. So.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. And it's funny you bring up AI because when I first started working on the script, it was in like 2022 when I was first like writing down the general outline of everything. I agree, Aaron. I think it'd be a great movie. I mean, of course, I'm biased, but
Yeah. I hope
And
you
so
do think.
yeah. And so when I first started like getting the general plan of the book together, the most advanced AI I had gotten as far as like things that we would see was the Will Smith eating spaghetti video. That was as advanced as it had been at that point. And so it wasn't really a prevalent point of conversation. But as I've worked on the script and ironed it out and worked on the artwork, AI has become more and more of a prevalent part of, the social, conversation about like economics or news media or politics or art, especially. It's been a huge point of conversation. So it's
About to be a subject of a strike real quick here. But,
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. And so it's one of those things that as I worked on it, it became more and more relevant, which is kind of cool because a lot of times you have a really cool idea. And as you work on it, it starts to gain less and less relevance, where it was the opposite in this case, I feel.
Yeah. Well, and actually, kind of going off that, Dawson, to maybe like kind of give the viewers tonight like sort of a look into the just like the making of a comic book and in terms of like writing to like publication. Now, what's like usually like the kind of like the time frame for like when you start on a project and like when it hits like comic book shelves?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I'm still like making my way in the industry, so I wouldn't be the best person to ask that question. But we all know like the whole pencilers, inkers. You have the team that's getting things done, right? And if you have a really fast team, I mean, I imagine like month and a half where you're getting something done at most. Of course, with deadlines of bigger companies, right? Obviously, it might be a little faster, and then you get some messiness in there. But Fourth 1000, I think, has a really good question.
Don't bring that name. Don't bring that name up here.
No, it's a good. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So answer this question. So the pledge is to get the comic published. It's already finished, right? So the pencils, inks, and letters are all finished. We have some sample pages colored. A lot of the funds are going to pay Dan Kemp to color the rest of the book, and also to get a certain amount of copies printed. That's where the funds for the Kickstarter are going to. And so the book, we're aiming to have it finished by the end of April. That's when we'll get it printed and getting pledges filled and getting things sent out to backers. So everything on my end is complete. Again, just getting the funds to pay the colorist and then get things printed and sent out to people. So for the most part, yes, done, but just got to send it off.
That might be a first time that Fourth didn't put forth a dumb question.
Yeah, you're not familiar with Fourth, Dawson. He's the
Troll 1000 usually doesn't have anything like that this early on in the show to really enhance anything. It's usually I end up reading it and end up looking like a jackass because he led me into some bullshit.
Fourth because we love Fourth.
So you're saying I'm bringing out the best of your audience?
Yeah.
Yeah, that terrifies me. Don't even. All right, hey, what am I looking at here? I'm about to push play on this. So describe to me what they're about to see.
Yes, this is a quick little trailer with a little bit of synopsis of the book that was actually edited together by our friend Aaron Bailey. He helped me edit some things together, and so it's just like a 40-second clip, kind of get people the general idea of what the book is about and some of the artwork in it.
All right, and I don't have to fear pushing press on this and getting bratted, aka demonetized. Because
Dawson, are you going to copyright strike us on this?
I'll talk to my lawyer after this.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm DJ Wiedrich, writer and artist behind the new sci-fi comic miniseries 𝔇𝔠, which follows the story of an android named Ty who, through his own artificial lens, is trying to understand what it means to be human. If you're into stories like Ex Machina, Bicentennial Man, Chappie, iRobot, or if you just simply need a new sci-fi comic to read, be sure to back the Kickstarter and help us make this new comic miniseries a reality by funding 𝔇𝔠 issue number 1.
All right, guys. Dawson Regis has been our guest. I always mess up your last name. One of these years, after 4 or 5 years, I'm going to get it right, and it's going to be like those balloons when people do the thumbs up and you get the. But I come close enough. So hey, thank you for giving us some of your time and giving us a peek inside of your project here. And when it's ready, I'll gladly carry it here and continue. I know you're on the convention scene up there on the Midwest, and I see you all the time popping up. At places. Hopefully you come out west to to Vegas or something like that. And
we also have another quick question from Fourth. Does the robot have pants? I'm asking.
Okay, this is why.
Actually, in the second and third issue, he does.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go, Fourth. That's kind of an inside joke here.
No, it's not even inside. It's fucking creepy, is what it is. All right, hey, thanks, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and real quick, I was about to say, I actually have some new family ties to the Vegas area. So one of these days, I'll have to get out that way and actually get to the Sci-Fi Center. So
yeah, cool. One of the handfew that actually have stepped in there. We have had some that have come out here of the people at our YouTube community. I know my co-host has been invited a couple times and turned me down.
Yeah, give me 24 hours notice.
Hey, listen, the military gave me less than that to get on a plane and go 10,000 miles. You could have thrown some draws into a bag and then came out here to meet Zack Snyder. But all right, hey, thanks, Dawson. I will keep in touch. If you have anything new that you want to send my way, we'll promote it. When we get to issue 2, if you have to go through the same process, we can do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see you guys. Great talking to you about the book. And for those out there, again, we're past our funding goals, so it's going to happen. It's going to be out there. But if we're trying to get to about 4,000 or 4,200 for extra little goodies for people who pledge for the book. So again, check it out. William put the link in the description, and appreciate you guys. Great talking to you.
All right, man. Have a good night, dude.
All right,
that was Dawson, and his project is Glitch. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's right down my alley. Down my alley.
And we like listening to like the Bicentennial Man and Chappie influences. It's like I mean, those are Chappie, as I mentioned, like that. I've always found that very underrated. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what how that plays out in it.
I never connected with Bicentennial. I've seen it. I
didn't as much.
We were speaking about before, and that was one of my least favorite Robin Williams movies. It was not a bad movie by any stretch of the means, but there are Robin Williams movies that he's in. And there are movies starring Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Now there are movies that he's been in that to no fault of his own that I hate. I mean, you are on a different side of Hook. I hate Hook. I would rather listen to cats scream than watch Hook. But a lot of people don't really touch. In my opinion, it is by far his best movie, and that's The Fisher King. Yeah. Fisher King is Robin Williams' best movie, and it's not even close.
Yeah. Always great to have you on. And when the book comes out, we'd definitely love to have you on again and kind of break it down.
Yep, no problem at all. That's really goes. That goes for any of you guys out there that are on the edge or that are at that process or the point in your game where you think it's time to do a Kickstarter, to do a fundraiser, or to just get the word out. Listen, I don't have the biggest YouTube channel in the world, but what I have is yours. I will gladly give it to you to come on and promote. And who knows?
I mean, awesome also hearing that past the goal. So it's like, because Kickstarter, it's a little bit like Indiegogo, I think is a little bit more flexible. As far
one of them, you don't get the money until you reach the goal, and the other one, you get it.
It's Kickstarter. You get the funding if you hit your goal. And there's like pros and cons to both of them. But awesome, Dawson. You and he's also on my side with Hook.
No, I just don't like the movie. And it sucks because it's one of those movies, like it's the Dark Knight trilogy for me. If you told me the list of people that are in this movie and you said all these people are going to get together and they're going to make a movie, I'd be like, I'm there, man. And I was there. And I'm like, ugh.
When COVID, like the first 48 hours when we start getting the lockdowns, it was the first thing I put on was Hook. So that's like, I will always like Hook. If that's not a comfort movie, I don't know what is. Hook, if that's what you're doing when a pandemic starts.
Like I said, and it just goes to tell you, you can have the best performers in the world assembled, and the movie can still go south for you if you don't connect with it. All right, we're gonna roll right into my comic recommendations. Now, I've adjusted the way I did this because to me, for me, the other YouTubers will describe you. All right, will describe to you, and they'll go page by page, and sometimes we've done that. But I want you to start thinking about these in a way that just says, you know what, that looks cool, that sounds cool, let's go out and get them, wherever you're at in the world. My recommendations for this week were Punisher number 1. It's the Legacy 280. So it's a number 1. I know we've been doing other Punisher number 1s, but this is the one that's in continuity in the actual Punisher stream. It actually has some good variant covers. In fact, hold on, let me go get those because they're really nice. Okay, so it's keeping along the same thing, and it's ironic because I just a couple of days ago picked up my this is Punisher number 1 from 1987. Now, what's so you guys know I'm a Punisher fan through and through, but what is the coolest thing about this one for me, the significance for me, was the fact that it was the very first comic book that I bought of a ongoing series, not a limited series or anything else, the first number 1 that I bought with my own money. Klaus Janson, whose autograph I have on Dark Knight stuff, and Larry Hama. Larry Hama was a Vietnam veteran, and he wrote the Nam. And Frank Castle, at this point in his continuity, was a Vietnam veteran. And they revised it and everything because, you kind of have to. But so the weapons, and like when he was using the AT4 that he's using right here, and he would go into weapons descriptions and everything else. So when the Punisher was greasing a weapon, the Punisher will be describing the weapon, the rounds, the clip, and it was coming from a guy who knew all this stuff. He was a Marine. He was a Marine in Vietnam, so he was an infantryman. So this was the very first, and I bought this off of a 7-Eleven rack. This new one right here, now, if you look at it, you can kind of see that we're going back home. We're going back home. This issue, this 280 or / number 1, reminded me a lot of the old school Punisher. That was tunnel vision. Get the weapons together, get the mission together, go get the criminal. Now, I know for better or for worse, over the last 30 some odd years, the Punishers got caught up in some stuff that, like when he starts dealing with magic and Daredevil, and I love Punisher with Daredevil, but that whole fist, whatever, that just hurt my head. But this series right here, and you can tell from the covers, they're going back to old school Punisher. They're going back to the core, and this is my favorite of them. The skull, and this one is my favorite. Are we sticking together? This is my favorite of the cover. It's the Virgin cover, and it's just a simple cover, 2 grenades, an assault breech shotgun on the cover. Simple. The Punisher was always at his best when he was a simplistic character, and the covers of his comics reflected that. Here's another one, and then this is the one I put on the thumbnail because obviously if you guys have been paying attention to Punisher for a while, we had a period of time to where we had some goat, rhinoceros, whatever that was on there because people had an issue with this. This is back in full effect. So Punisher number 1 / 280. I recommend that, especially if you've ever had an affinity of the character. Wonder Woman, absolute Wonder Woman number 17. Another great story, backed up by great covers. The mythology continues. This one's an easy push. Everything that you like about Absolute Wonder Woman continues here. It's sort of a mid-story in between what the next arc will be. So I go for that. This one right here, the new history of the DC Universe, the Dakota Incident. This was probably the best thing I read all week. And I know a lot of people had mixed reviews, especially people who were closer to the Milestone characters. When they first came out and wanted to see them integrated into DC, there was kind of mixed feelings about this. I thought the way they did it here, what the history of the DC Universe is basically it's more of like an encyclopedia or a textbook than it is a comic book. The stories are being told in that manner, but it's more like a Marvel saga back in the day, to where it's using the same visualizations as a comic book does, but it's more of a lesson. And they used it to they not retcon the universe, but retell the story and realign it without rebooting it. So here, for those of you who are not familiar with what the Dakota Incident was, it is what started the Milestone media universe. It was the authorities and scientists trying to use a chemical to placate what they thought was a violent element of the city, and it ended up backfiring and giving them superpowers. And that's how most of the Milestone universe got their superpowers, if they had them, all except for Icon. Icon was an alien from another planet. But what they've done here is they've integrated the Milestone universe to the point where it's not its own separate thing. It's integrated into the timeline that is the DC universe. So Icon has always been there. Instead of having like the crossover like they did way back, I think it was number 15, Icon number 15 or number 16. This actually realigns the Milestone characters within the pre-existing or the current DC universe, and I thought they did it artfully. I hope this isn't just something that shows you where they are in our time, and I hope this is the beginning of something. I would really like to see Milestone come back because I think it was it came at a wrong time. I think if Milestone would have been like maybe 12, 13 years later, I think we would still be talking about it as ongoing series. But the mid 90s wasn't the best time for comic books. And then there was a lot of political things that went on between editorial, Dwayne McDuffie, things like that. But it's good to see 30 some odd years later, we're still talking about it. And they took the time to integrate it in. And I hear they're going to be using these characters. They've always used Static Shock, but there are other characters in that universe that I would like to see used more prominently. I would like to see Icon brought up to a level along with all the other DC characters now that we're doing this. So, yeah, the history of the new history of DC, this is a one-shot, number 1, the Dakota Incident. I recommend it, especially for a lot of you, many of you, like we talked last week, even like a lot of black folks, haven't picked up a milestone comic or they know of the characters, but they never got into it. Now's as good a time as any. Speaking of bringing underrated characters up to the level of prominence, here's one that we already saw, Mr. Terrific. This is the Mr. Terrific Year 1. It's a trade paperback format, really good. They capitalize on a lot of the elements that you kind of saw in the movie because the movie, to be honest with you, capitalized on the elements that were already there. It's just a personality. Now when I read Mr. Terrific, I can't get the version of Superman 2025 out of my head. When he sits down and says, I don't need no Ford, whatever, I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. That just cracked me up. I don't know why. It was a small line, but I really grew on that character. I want more than just this. I think he should have his own ongoing series. And to be honest with you, when we're talking about DCU, motion pictures and things like that, he should be heavily featured. I know a lot of people who didn't necessarily connect with Superman or anything else in that movie, but I found more people that connected with Crypto and Mr. Terrific than anything else. So I would really like to see him brought to the forefront and fleshed out a little bit more, and I hope that's the beginning of it. Martian Manhunter, this is an issue that technically shouldn't exist. This series was supposed to end at issue 8, but the fan response to this story got them another 4 issues. Now, it will end at 12 because the people working on it are working on something else with DC that is, well, from what I hear, just, it was an offer they couldn't turn down. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean we won't see Martian Manhunter or Absolute Martian Manhunter again. And when they finally do get together, whatever you're going to call the Justice League, since the Justice League name has been pretty much taken, unless they take that name back, you got to believe that this version of the Martian Manhunter will be here. This is one of the weirdest stories that I've ever read. And I've always said this before, if you ever get a chance to pick up any type of Vertigo comic or any of the late 80s DC stuff that transitioned into Vertigo, there's a book called Shade the Changing Man, and I just sold a couple of copies to a customer that got into was getting into Absolute Martian Manhunter. It reminds me of that abstract storytelling, so keeps you off your foot. It doesn't, to me, it does not read like a normal superhero comic. It doesn't even read like an Absolute comic. It's its own thing, but I know it's all part of the same thing. But Absolute Martian Manhunter number 9 came out, and it's got lots of cool variants over there. Pick it up. And if you're behind and you're like, it's number 9, I don't want to get into it unless I have all the trade paperbacks. Most of your local comic book stores and some of your bookstores are going to have all the trade paperbacks for Absolute Batman, first 2 volumes, Absolute Wonder Woman, first 2 volumes, Absolute Superman has 1 volume coming out, 2nd volume will be coming out, Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Flash all have at least 1 volume out. So if you don't want to bankrupt yourself, you can still get involved in this Absolute universe. It's a fun universe. It's bringing brand new collectors in, and it's bringing old school collectors back. And I haven't seen a comic book do that in the entire time I've been in. I've seen people come back for an occasional 1-shot, 2-shot, a speculator issue, but I haven't seen people come back in equal levels wanting to be a part of it or wanted to come back to a character that they walked away from. So those are my recommendations of the week. Honorable mention, and it's not really new. It's been around for 40 years, but they came out with facsimile covers for Batman: The Dark Knight. I'm holding it upside down. I'm a fan of Frank Miller's art. A lot of people are not a fan of his later art because it's too blocky or everything else. To me, it's an evolving style that I've always loved. This is the Dark Knight Returns #1. This is a special variant cover. It's a facsimile. It has all the everything that you had in 1986 this week when it was released 40 years ago is in here, but they came out with variant covers. I sold out of the foil covers. The other cover looks exactly like it did when it came off the shelf, him jumping with the lightning bolt. But this is a special one. This is Frank Miller coming back to do a cover 40 years after The Dark Knight Returns premiered this week. So those are the books that I really think you guys should be giving a chance. Characters, not just the books themselves, by the way, because a comic book, 32 pages, 40 pages, 50 pages, trade paperback, 50, 60 at the most. When you're diving into these things, dive into the character. Dive into the history of Frank Castle Punisher. Dive into Frank Miller's Batman. Because if you're like 20, 30 years old and you weren't around when this first came out and you like it, dude, there's a crap ton of Frank Miller stuff that you're gonna love. You're gonna love his run on Daredevil. One of the most important runs of comics, period. You're gonna love his Batman Year One. You might like Dark Knight 2 and Dark Knight 3 Master. There's a lot of Frank Miller stuff out there. And I would love to see a brand new generation pick up the guy, one of like 3 or 4 guys of all of comicdom that literally changed the course of comic. It's for top of head is him, Chris Claremont. I'd have to put Todd McFarlane on there. These aren't just guys that did their job, Jim Lee. These aren't just guys that did their job. They did their jobs in a way that changed the trajectory of comics in general. Where Batman and Daredevil were before Frank Miller picked up the pen and paper were completely different planets. Chris Claremont literally took over a book that had been running reruns after cancellation for 3 years. Jim Lee and Chris Claremont turned around and have the highest selling comic of all time. Todd McFarlane took a Spider-Man book that wasn't a bad book, but it was an afterthought and turned it into one of the top selling comics of all time to the point where he could use that leverage to take everybody else and form his own company. So Frank Miller, jump on it, 300. There's a lot of stuff out there. And I think once you guys get your hands on some of these things, it'll open the doorway for you to have a lot of fun. And with trade paperbacks and digital comics, I'd rather you not get the digital comics, but I'd rather have you reading than not have access to them at all. So, all right. So we got Dawson off the way, not out the way like that way, but making sure that I don't.
But that was also a very happy for him when he said that that the Kickstarter had been as good because when because we were talking about bringing him on the show to like help spotlight what he was doing because want to help him reach the goal with the Kickstarter. It's like, oh, by the time he comes on the show, goal already met. So now, like at this point, like you said, anything they get further from here is just adding a gravy to it. So adding.
Well, and you got to realize he's got another. He's going to have to get issue 2 eventually.
Yeah.
Just like Arnie. Arnie's going to end up being the same way because I know we're getting all excited that we got these guys. Got these guys to certain spots, but it's one of 3. So he's got.
Like bringing like people in the business he's brought aboard for Glitch. It's it's like you said, it's the audacity to ask, and dare I say, the audacity of hope.
Yeah, the creator. Creators are a different species to me. I hold them on a higher regard because I consider myself to be one in a different way. When you build something from scratch, you're on a different level. You're on a different. Not only are you in a different level, you're in a different risk zone because it doesn't always go right. As a matter of fact, it goes wrong more than it goes right. You just don't talk about that. You don't tell the people about all the other shit. You just want to talk about the stuff that went right because who the fuck wants to hear the other stuff? But so when you're out there, when you spend the time, you spend the money, you make the investment, it doesn't always go right. I mean, he could have not reached his funding. He could have not hooked up with the right people, but he made it happen.
I mean, what's the saying? It's like, but like overnight success, like, people think of overnight success, they don't see, the 10 to 15 years of struggle that precedes the overnight success. So
no, it's like baseball. I mean, you're going to strike out 7 out of every 10 times, and that's if you're the top guys. You're actually doing great if you're only hitting 3 out of every 10 balls that are thrown to you. All right, so I'm going to go through this real quick. And I know my wrestling people are few and far in between, but I'm a wrestling geek, and there are people who do watch the show later on during decent hours that do get mad when they know that a wrestling nerd like me leaves out what is supposed to be a major paid live event. Elimination Chamber did not suck. It wasn't that good, though, and it was very predictable. And I just don't feel like I'm on the road to WrestleMania, even though the signs are up there. All right, it only had. By the way, I was watching AOL. Gotta get that shit out of my head. After tonight, I'm gonna need to cleanse my brain out of that whole. Anyway, I was watching AEW's Collision on the computer screen, and I had the WWE event on the TV, and I was just more enamored with Collision tonight than I was with anything else. All right, we're going to go through this super quick because that's all it really deserves. It was in Chicago for like the millionth time. WWE, I guess, lives there. Rhea Ripley defeated Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Kiana James and Raquel Rodriguez to win the Elimination Chamber, which means she is going to face off against Jade Cargill, which means she's going to carry that match because Jade Cargill currently just really doesn't have that type of wrestling ability. She has the look in the feel, the big name feel, but as far as being able to carry a match, I'm looking for Rhea Ripley to carry that match. I don't know who's going to win yet, but I think they're going to push Jade Cargill. But like I said, whoever she's in the ring with is going to have to carry that match. AJ Lee, Mrs. CM Punk, defeated Becky Lynch via submission. Decent match. Decent match. I hadn't seen AJ Lee wrestle in like 15 years, I guess, but it was a decent match. It was a TV match. But then again, the caveat to this WWE stuff, it's on ESPN. If you already have ESPN as far as on your cable channel, you don't have to pay anything extra. You get all this for free. So I can't really complain. CM Punk defeated Finn Balor in a match for the World Heavyweight Championship. I've watched Finn Balor wrestle practically all his career, and I've watched CM Punk wrestle all his career. Neither one of these were their best matches. It was just a match to have there. This is a Raw main event. This was the one I thought was a little bit of a surprise because I didn't think they would do this. Randy Orton defeated LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Javon Evans, Trick Williams, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. They really made Logan Paul look great here, and I almost thought, are they going to put this clown in the main event? They did not. The masked man that has been plaguing WWE for the last 3 weeks came out, and it was a decoy. And the real masked man came out and cost Logan Paul, and it ended up being Seth Rollins, which was not a surprise. Even with the decoy, I thought it was kind of lame. And Drew McIntyre came in and tried and screwed it up for Cody. Cody ends up taking him out, and then RKO out of nowhere. So it is Randy Orton going up against Drew McIntyre for the WWE title at WrestleMania. I thought that there were going to be some different types of matchups and changes because right now, I don't know if it's a big deal, but they're worried about the ticket sales. They've only sold 38,000 tickets for each night. Ooh, geez. But they were expecting a lot more. Their expectations when they named Vegas again, they wanted a lot more. So I don't know if any of these matchups really help push the needle. $700 for the worst seat in the house. I've been to Allegiant Stadium. I know where some of those shitty seats are. I wouldn't. At $700, I got Mr. TV there, and I got Mr. Remote here, and we'll just do it that way. But I will, however, enjoy the glow that WrestleMania brings to my adopted hometown because there's going to be some really cool things happening there for a wrestle geek like me. So for you wrestle nerds that I know are out there, and you may not be my live crowd, but a significant amount of you who are never in the chat because you watch it later on in different countries. That's my wrestling moment for you. So now I'm going to take some abuse from our chat that I know is there without even looking at it.
We got another comics guy chat here. How's it going, Jared?
Oh, wait. Keep him up.
Okay.
And again.
What's that?
Third time.
What are you buzzing
He
for?
knows why. He knows why. I ought to bring you on, Jay. I know I promised to bring you on after you and your Paramount. No, I'm just kidding.
You talking about on the Baca stream last night?
No, he was. I was watching his show the other day. I actually watched. I'm a viewer of your show, Jared, so I appreciate the work you put into it. We're gonna get into this. Well, let me get to before I get wound up. Before I get wound up with the Howard the Duck of mergers. let me get the edge off and say hi.
Well, first of all, I mean, do you want to like go into the it ain't like a stream if we're not talking about Zack Snyder news. So it's like, do you want to go into like what happened in the last few days with our esteemed steward of many DC properties?
I mean,
because I think I talked about the box stream last night.
Yeah, I didn't have anything just last night. I didn't have anything to add to that other than you guys. I listen. Here's what's starting to happen, and listen. I know, I'm a YouTube nobody. I know my lot in life. I'm okay with it. I'm starting to hear some of my words in some of these places that there's no chance in hell that they should be seeping into, but they're seeping in. I'm starting to hear some of my ideas that got laughed at when my voice was behind them. But when you take my Muppet voice and you replace it with someone else, wow, that's a great idea. And I'm like, yeah.
It's interesting you should say that because I kind of noticed a little bit of that with some of what the man himself had to say. Okay, so back it up a little bit. We talked like Thursday night, I think, about Josh Horowitz had made kind of a cryptic, he of the Josh of the Happy Sad Confused podcast made a post about Batman v Superman has the 10-year anniversary coming up, something cool's coming up, watch the space kind of thing. Now, I think probably
glad you were able to sleep that night. Okay,
well, I'm getting to that. So we talked about that on that show that now I think probably this is just my take. I was expecting when he posted that, like something, whatever was relating to that was going to be happening a little bit closer to March 25th, which is the 10-year anniversary. I didn't expect like the next day.
Yeah, neither did Dave. Dave was kind of surprised too.
Everybody was. And I woke up to that. And this is a little bit of like personal details on that. So I had to I had to get up some of the for those of you who don't know, I'm also an assistant coach in my martial arts school, and I was subbing for another instructor that on Friday. He has a couple of private lessons on Fridays that I was taking over for him, so I had to be in somewhat earlier on Friday than I usually am, and then on top of that, it was just one of those days where this Friday, whatever reason, I my eyes just randomly pop open, coming out of bed just like 3 hours earlier than I need to be up, and I look at my phone and that's what I see. So there was no way I was getting back to bed after that. So I really was definitely on fumes through much of yesterday, and then came home and of course on top of that I'm going to see Scary Movie 7 that night. So I just, wow, that was a long day to get through with all that. It's like, so I slept the sleep of the dead once I got home. But what it ended up being is, Zach was doing a sit-down interview with Josh Horowitz on Happy Sad Confused podcast, and kind of, just running through like 10-year anniversary of Batman v Superman, and I'm sure there's going to be like more fireworks around that, because we're now finally in March. In fact, today is actually Zach's 60th birthday. So
is he 60?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, and he's deadlifting like he's 22.
I feel like shit now because he's in way better shape than me.
But anyway, I'm sure there'll be like more, and of course, like he's continuing to stir the pot in his own Instagram with it being the 10-year anniversary of BVS, 5-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League. But during the Horowitz interview, Josh Horowitz, just asked him point blank. It's like, hey, should fans throw in the towel on wanting to see your story finished, or is there any hope? And I'm paraphrasing all this, but Zach said no, I would never say there's no possibility for this. And he even took it back to, it's like, he himself thought for behind the scenes quite a while that my cut of Justice League is not going to see the light of day because of like all these different roadblocks to it, and you guys made that happen. So the fan, he's telling, I frankly took that as like he all but encouraged his fan base to keep pushing, keep the noise and the desire up for it. So and then of course he had another quote that kind of made the rounds, and depending on where you stand on it, I won't go into that, but I mean you'll definitely see headlines about it, but that definitely kind of people have opinions on that. But it was again, it was, this happened way sooner than I think most of us are expecting. But it was it was cool to see, and is bringing it back to what I was saying earlier about like seeing like my written work on this kind of make the rounds. This one gentleman, hold it real quick. Let me pull this up here.
But basically, we along into that portion of it is he brought up the comic book, and now all of a sudden
talks about comics and which now I'm not. Well, go ahead. I'll ask the question in a second.
I've been saying this for damn near 3 years, that needs to be the primary and printable format for this to take any further thing. And I got like, what are you talking about? If it's not live action, we don't blah, 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 blah. And now we're getting to a point where something in the absolute universe is going to get further than the Snyderverse is because it's got metrics to back it. Now, when you have metrics to back something, you might have a better chance of getting it. Let it sell 400,000 or 500,000 copies. Get the whole story out there, because any of these other formats, they're going to be cutting corners. I want it all out there. I want everybody to lay their dicks on the table, get it out of the way. We don't, no regrets. No, I had to sacrifice. No, everything out in the papers and the staples, and then let the vultures that are the execs that will monetize this do their thing from there. That's what I've been saying for now. Now we're starting to get to the point. Like I said, I'm a bonehead, but I was right about that in my opinion. But
by the way, hi Taladia.
All right, there's another one of Western movies.
But yeah, kind of bringing it back to that, because that's not the first time he's talked about that. I'm actually it's interesting that you made the rounds as much as it did, because again, he hasn't. That's not the first time he said. Talked about comics and animation. Now, what I wasn't fully clear on from that quote is when he's talked about like talks about it. First of all, has that been like talks they've had recently? Is that talks like actually with Warner Brothers?
He didn't specify.
Yeah, so that's still a little bit vague, and so, but yeah, to bring it back to kind of seeing some of my commentary, I think make the rounds, and frankly, with the man himself.
Yeah, there is that, because but you got to realize, fourth, that was under poor management. That was before Jim Lee was the publisher, and now that was under a different bunch of screw ups. So even if they were to say no now, I can't base it on because they were going to say no to Zack Snyder or anything. Zack Snyder could have bought them the cure for Alzheimer's, and they would have said no because they were just dead set against him. So, but now with different management, I think if he were thinking about it now, I think he would be more receptive.
Well, so let me pull this up. This one, there's one gentleman, Clark Joe on Twitter. He talked Clark, it's spelled Clark Joe on Twitter. Which Clark Joe, if you're watching, hey, thank you for the shout.
If I don't know who you are, Clark, I have a very limited scape of people who I know. Not you, it's me.
He mentioned this quote that Zach had in the interview. Also, I love this description on why Restore the Snyderverse is unlikely to die. Excuse me. That 3-movie trilogy, it's a weed that just won't die. It grows on its own. It has its own life, and it's not connected with James Gunn's Superman, which is amazing. It reminded me of a post by Brad Curran. Now, I'm not going to toot my own horn a little too much here.
Why you're tooting your own horn.
Yeah, yes, except I'm definitely going to toot my own horn. But I have first of all, I mean, I have had multiple articles I've written tweeted by the man himself. So I do have some kind of basis to go on here. But like one that also that quote from Zach that my mind did kind of flow back to. It's this one feature I wrote for comic.com. It was right after the picture that he and James Gunn put together that went made the rounds. Come up.
We bought this one up, didn't we?
There we go. The Snyderverse Yeah. Well, but yeah. So this is and then we have that quote from Zach. It's like my DC franchise is a weed that will never die. I'm not saying he's like he's a fan, he's a reader, but I'm not saying he's not either. And
Well,
this is where
yeah,
like I bring
he probably found out about you from this show, so I'll take all the credit for that.
well again he has shared articles I've read. When I did a comic book with him about the Man of Steel trailer, he shared. There was one when I was at Screen Rant about the FSP work the fandom's done. He shared, and that's obviously that's very gratifying on a personal level to see those. Yes, it's so Zach, his quote there about this my franchise, it's a weed that will never, again, wording he's using and like the point that I've been making for the last half decade that I think I feel pretty vindicated about how much this.
Yeah, you get a famous Stanley no prize.
I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. So
you get the same payment I get from all these other people using my ideas and reaching down at the bottom to reach from my brain trust to take it all the way up to there. You get the same zero.
I'll just take an associate producer shirt for the Justice League too.
Yeah,
I don't need any royalties. But again, I'm just saying, guys. And I mean, but in all seriousness, like the point Zach made is like kind of the point I'd made. It's like it's like he posts a picture of Superman on Instagram where he gives an interview talking about a 10-year-old movie, and it just completely dominates the DC news cycle for a week after that, if not more. So, again, we're making the same point. It's like this hasn't died. It's not going to die. Find a way to make it happen, and they discuss.
At the same time, it's not going anywhere at the moment, which sucks.
And now he also kind of they had a joke on there too about a Broadway musical, which is like
kind of interesting. That was just throwing it out there.
I know,
like I said, it's the same thing as me and the sock puppets.
It's like although if that would be, I don't know.
That would be kind of stupid, actually. But yeah.
Well, it'd be kind of like it show how much it's in the zeitgeist if they actually debate the Broadway.
They end up like cats. All right, no, I don't hate the myth. The mythology of what AOL once was. That's why I have the AOL so that I know when certain people are emailing me between ones I can ignore and ones I should actually pick up the phone and look at. No, what AOL became is what everyone hated, not just me. So obviously last Thursday we had this thing that's been going on.
We're going now into the history lesson.
We're good. Yeah, we're going to go back to the Genesis, the original stupid thing.
Okay, buckle up, everybody, because William has made clear this is
all right.
Dive down a rabbit hole.
Why this is relevant? Is because the same stupid shit that happened Thursday is the same stupid shit that happened 26 years ago in 2000. First, it starts in 1996. This is not the bad part. Ted Turner takes Turner Broadcasting Networks, and he gets together with Warner Brothers, and they merge. Not the bad part. 4 years, we were doing fine. Had it stayed that way, I think, might not have been the worst thing in the world. Still probably would have broken up because Warner didn't know how to handle a lot of that stuff at that time. Different era of mergers. In the mid 90s, the internet wasn't what it was now. So for those of you who are not Gen Xers or maybe just millennials, who barely have a memory of that time, AOL was a dominant force. It was the dominant force from 1992 to 1996 or 97, 98. They were it. And we had this thing called dial-up. If you were rolling at 56K or 112 KPS, hell, 112 KPS, you were living like the Jetsons.
For anybody younger than like 25, long story short, if you internet back in 2000, you couldn't use your phone and be on the internet at the same time.
Yeah, everybody had 48 KPS or 56 KPS. So it was broken up into tiers. Your broke ass had the 48 or the 36. I'm sorry, 36. You just had the internet. You had a screen in front of you. That's it. Then we had the middle class, 56K. And then we had some, rich folks every now and then, or whatever, had the 112. That was what you had. AOL monetized that. You could only use their service. It was proprietary. It was great when that was the only thing that happened. Here's the thing, and this is not something that they may not have been able to adjust for, but it's something that they kind of used. All right, so what ended up destroying AOL for the most part was broadband. In the late 90s, broadband cable modem, for the most, different form, started getting in, fiber optic started getting in to every household. Whereas for a couple years, you had to have a lot of money to have that kind of broadband speed. And the original, I think the original was 128, but the average was 512. So you're going from 56. So it was like lightning. It was like the carriage and the horse in warp speed in Star Trek. It was going so fast because I was one of the first people on our block to get cable modem. It was experimental. We were the beta testers, so we got it. Cable modem at that time, 512 kps, was so fast that the websites could not give you the information faster than you were getting there. You were getting there to their site while you were waiting for the things to fill up because you were faster than they ever could be. And that all would change. So AOL was charging $29 whatever a month. First they were charging per hour, and then they went to 29 a month. And then broadband came in, and broadband wasn't proprietary. You could use anything to get on the internet with broadband. So a lot of what was called the walled garden for AOL kind of broke down. That happens. Here's the thing that gets real fucking shady. These motherfuckers knew their bubble, the tech bubble, was about to bust. They knew that their stock price was inflated. What they did is they looked for Warner Brothers, or Warner Media, I think it was at the time, and they wanted to absorb them because they thought that would be another platform for what their proprietary product was. Here's the problem. And here's where it ties back to this crazy shit that happened Thursday. Their stock was inflated. Time Warner, which is what it was called at the time, briefly, was pulling in more revenue than AOL. AOL's valuation came from the stock price, not from what they were earning. So you basically had two companies merging. Only one of them was actually worth anything. And when that happened, Ted Turner, Warner Media, all these guys signed off on it, not realizing or not having the full understanding that we were right at the edge of the tech boom going down. They knew that. They were basically they were like one of those long preys that latch onto a shark, hoping the shark goes a better place than they ever were going to go. Well, what ended up happening is broadband took away everything else. Technology became such that you didn't need AOL. You didn't need to hear you got mail. You got Gmail. Gmail you could get for free. Once you had broadband internet, everybody wanted to be able to be displayed on that. So they weren't going to charge you anything. You had ad revenue, you had everything else. So now fast forward to 2026, where you have a company like Paramount Skydance that's worth like a net cap of $12 billion that just purchased $110 billion, is in the process of beginning a $110 billion process to take over a company with money that's not there. It's the same thing AOL Time Warner did. What AOL Time Warner did was shady. I actually thought people should have done some time for that. But they could never prove that they knew that was going to be the case. I'm just supposed to take them for being fools. Ivy League fools, okay? But it's the same thing. The downfall of that entire merger was because of you merged two companies and only one of them had the weight to carry the company and it couldn't. So I'll read you some of the details because, yeah. All right, so let me get to, because Warner Brothers has a long history. All right. In January 2000, America Online stated its intentions to purchase Time Warner for $183 billion with a B, which was too much money then. Too much money then in 2000. And it's money that they didn't have. All right. Due to the larger market capitalization of AOL, their shareholders would own 55% of the new company, while Time Warner shareholders, captained over, would own only 45%. So in actual practice, AOL had merged with Time Warner, even though Time Warner had more assets and revenues. Time Warner had been looking for a way to embrace the digital revolution. Everybody was. And while AOL wanted to anchor its stock price with more tangible assets, they wanted to turn their fake money into real money. They basically, it's like money laundering. So that's the recipe for disaster. But put a pin on that. The deal officially filed on February 11th, 2000. Employed a merger structure in which original company merged into a newly created entity. The Federal Trade Commission cleared the deal. They shouldn't have. On December 14th, 2000, and gave the final approval on January 11th, 2001. The company completed the merger later that day. The deal was approved on the same day by the Federal Trade Commission. Shouldn't have happened. FCC. And it already been cleared by the European Commission on October 11th. So they fast-tracked all of this stuff based on bullshit. AOL Time Warner Inc. Well, just saying it, I can feel the vomit in my mouth. As the company was called, was supposed to be a merger of equals with top executive from both sides, Gerald Levine, who had served as chairman and CEO of Time Warner Entertainment. And remember the Howard the Duck reference, because I'll come back to that. AOL co-founder Steve Case. Okay, now remember when we talk about Howard the Duck and we kind of like make fun of it, the two people that were fighting each other for who was going to take responsibility of it, and then after they fought, they disappeared? That's these two cats, in my opinion. All right, served as executive chairman of the board of directors. Robert W. Pittman, president, CEO of AOL, and Dick Parsons, president of Time Warner, served as co-chief operating officer. Now, all of these guys, inside of 2 years, all these guys were gone from the company, just like Howard the Duck. Those fools from Howard the Duck got on a plane and went to Hawaii before they didn't even show up to the premiere. So this is the Howard the Duck of mergers right here. All right, according to AOL president Bob Pittman, the slow-moving Time Warner Entertainment would now take on the internet speed accelerated by AOL. That was some bullshit. All you need to do is put a catalyst to Time Warner Entertainment in a short period. You can alter the growth rate. The growth rate will be like the internet company. The vision of Time Warner's future seemed clear and straightforward by tapping into AOL, a dead company at the time. Time Warner would reach deep into the homes of tens of millions of new customers. AOL would use Time Warner's high-speed cable lines to deliver subscribers Time Warner's branded magazines, books, movies. This would have created 130 million subscription service. That's a lot for the day. However, growth and profitability of AOL division stalled due to advertising and loss of market share to the growth of high-speed broadband providers. The value of AOL division dropped significantly. Literally, they lost like $98 billion in a short period. There's a graph to where you have to like scroll down to get to the bottom of the money that they lost. And they had what's called a goodwill write-off, which means you just threw money away. All right, the value of AOL division dropped significantly, not unlike market valuation of similar independent internet companies that drastically fell, being the tech boom, and forced a goodwill write-off, causing AOL Time Warner to report a loss of, hold on to your dicks on this one, $99 billion in 1 year alone, 2002. They lost $99 billion in 1 year. I can't even mouth the words of how disastrous that is. You know my cheap ass, if I lose $10, I'm pouting. $99 billion, billion in 2002, at a time the largest loss ever reported by a company. I think it still is. The total value of AOL stock subsequently went from $226 billion to, oh, fuck. Okay, I'm going to read this. Take a deep breath. This is 26 years ago, but holy shit. The stock subsequently went from $220 billion to $20 billion. Now, you know I'm not a math whiz. To get to 20, I got to take off the shoes and use the toes. But I'm pretty certain that that's not good. And and here's where I get to my old buddy Ted, who created some great wrestling moments for me. An outburst by Vice Chairman Ted Turner at a board meeting prompted Steve Case to contact each of the directors and push for CEO Joe Levine's ouster. Yeah, you lose $99 billion. Firing is the least that I want to do to you. Although Case's coup attempt was rebuffed by Parsons and several other directors, Levin became frustrated with being unable to regain the rhythm. At the combined company and handed in his resignation in the fall of 2001. So remember, this thing just went down. It got wrapped up and sewed up in the beginning of 2001. By September of 2001, he's on his way out. Effective in May 2002. Although co-COO Bob Pittman was the strongest supporter of Levin and largely seen as an heir apparent, Dick Parsons was instead chosen to wear that collar as CEO. Time Warner Entertainment CFO Michael Kelly was demoted. CEO AOL division that replaced. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Many of the expected synergies. Now remember that word because we heard that word Thursday. Synergy in 2026 means job cuts. All right. Many of the expected synergies between AOL and the other Time Warner divisions never materialized, and most of Time Warner's divisions were considered independent fiefs that rarely cooperated prior to the merger, which was the way it worked. They were all owned by one person, but each Ted Turner controlled Turner, even though it was owned by Time. It was fine. A new incentive program that got options to AOL, and this is where they were just grasping at trees. So yeah, this in my opinion began what I consider to be the slow decline of Warner Brothers in general. Because if you notice the pattern here, everybody attached their name onto something that was not in the best interest of what it's pared down to now, which is making movies, maximizing IPs. So this didn't start with Netflix and Paramount. This started with this circus of whatever. But and I've seen, if you look up online, there are classes about this merger. Just like I'm pretty sure there are classes about how not to make a movie, and they use Howard the Duck as the primary source, the lesson plan. There are classes. I've heard of economics and finance classes that use this merger as a, wow, you don't want to be those guys. Even still, here we are, 26 years later, after all these guys got chased into anonymity, after they lost $99 billion, we have what's basically the same thing. You have borrowed money from banks, so there's interest, and you got money that's coming from a region of the planet right now is on fire. And that fire is only going to get hotter. And whereas there were smart people in the room at the beginning of this said, we don't want to do that because we're not sure where this money is coming from. We don't think this is a stable buy. So the board's like, we're going to do that. And then, so you told that guy to get up and go, come back with something more solid. He didn't come back with anything more solid. He came back with the same shit, just more of it. And that was good enough to close the deal. So the ghost of AOL Time Warner, like the ghost of Scrooge, the ghost of Christmas Past, Future, and all that, the ghost of AOL Time Warner should have haunted the fuck out of these people, should have popped up through the table and said, everybody, wait a minute. You remember me? You remember these guys you have to Google to find out where their careers went? When you get chased out of your job, it's not good. So what AOL Time Warner would do, and that would begin the devaluation of everything it touched. They would eventually spin off AOL into something else because AOL was the drag. Carl Icahn, who buys companies and refurbishes them and sells them, he ended up buying up a bunch of the stock, and they ended up spinning off AOL. The one that made the purchase was the one that got dumped to the side. But at that point, a lot of the damage had been done. A lot of the damage had been done, and it showed a precedent of consolidation, which is what you have today, what you've had with Disney, Fox, what you've had with Paramount, Skydance, what you have with Paramount. It's consolidation, not necessarily for the betterment of the studio. So the same thing, the things that are the same in 2000 that are the same now is you have a merger being approved or going ahead that doesn't have the best interest of the entity as it is now. AOL did not give a half shit about Warner Brothers. They didn't. And look what that pattern left you. AT&T did not care about Warner Brothers in the regard that they really should have in owning one of the oldest studios in Hollywood. Paramount's the same thing. Paramount is going to consume Warner Brothers. It is going to consume Warner Brothers, but the parallels there are a lot. You have shaky finances becoming the basis of a merger. And back in 2000, I can blame it on, we just didn't have mergers like that. People didn't know. This time around, you're literally dealing with a company that's only reason why it shot up to 110 billion is because somebody was desperate not to be shut out of the game. Paramount is grossly overpaying for what Warner Brothers is worth. And the only reason why this shot up and give Zaslav credit is he knew the only way to get more value than that company was worth is to get somebody to buy it and to get the buzz around the value that way. Because if nobody's in the market for Warner Brothers, we're talking about $8.97 stock and a company that's still about $38 billion in debt. So I remember the AOL Time Warner merger. I remember it was a stuff of jokes. It became a punchline. Whenever there was another merger coming along, it's another AOL one of these things, right? And you had to fight. Even if you were not a part of that merger, you had to fight to get away from the gravitational pull of that stupidity because it was that dumb. And I thought, never going to see this again. Never going to see this again. It's like, there's a reason why you haven't had a sequel to Howard the Duck. People are like, ooh, nah, let's think about that. No. And I'm like, I'm going to leave planet Earth and ascend to hell or heaven, wherever I end up going, without ever seeing a dumber merger than that one. And the ghosts, they came up, but nobody was listening. And here we are. But like I said, that merger is done. That merger is in the books. That merger happened. That merger did a lot of damage. It screwed up WCW. It really screwed up WCW. And it screwed up a lot of the assets that Time Warner had built up. Because once you had that stock attached to it, the combined company was a drag now. $225 billion in stock evaluation to $20 billion? Dude, that's everything. You got to move in with your mom after that. So yeah, it was the relevancy of the AOL Time Warner, and I'm surprised it doesn't come up more. I'm surprised that when we talk about these things, that lesson that just hangs out there like Candyman. You should be as afraid to do a stupid-ass merger like Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery as you are, or some people are saying Candyman in the mirror 5 times. Same result. It's not going to end well. And I'd be honest with you, I don't know if this is going to end well. The difference between 2001 and now, there is a significant difference. One was just people didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They thought they were invincible. They thought the tuck bubble was going to last forever for everybody. And I can kind of understand that because when you're living in the time, you're thinking this is the new technology. We're not going backwards. We're going forward. But they did not project broadband, what broadband would do to everybody. And there was no way to reshape the company about that. So some of that wasn't as stupid. They misled people and tried to bail themselves out by combining themselves. That was shady. But as far as where the industry goes, yeah, What happened here was 75% corruption. You didn't have the type of overt corruption in the Time Warner AOL thing as you did now. You didn't have people openly threatening you. If you don't do certain things, I'm not going to greenlight your merger. That's corruption. You didn't have somebody making an overt demand that if you don't fire this person on your board, that we're going to make things hard for you. Openly doing that on things that are taped and broadcast. You didn't have that the level of overt. There may have been some of this type of corruption back then, but this time around, there was overt corruption because if the certain administration wasn't in office right now, this merger is not happening. And as a matter of fact, as I said on the vodka stream, the reason why a lot of people, there are a good amount of people that say it might not happen is because how far we're in March. By the time I leave the store today, we'll be in the month of March. So we are, 8-9 months away from an election that could see both houses flip. 2 years after that, you could see an administration that's not as complicit. And depending on how many antitrust lawsuits, Governor or AG of California, by the way, fifth largest economy in the world, if their top lawyer sues you, that's not a small thing.
And by the real quick to interject, because I don't know, I don't know if I sent this to you or not, but now there's something that's literally the day after this got leaked.
It did, that idiot? Yeah.
Does that? Let me go pull this up. So,
but he's right.
Yeah.
I can't even be mad at what he said there.
Leaked audio from a company-wide meeting has revealed.
Hold on for a second. Let me finish my thought real quick though, because I will forget because I didn't have this part written down. The outright corruption, and like I said on the vodka stream last night, corruption is a coin that has two sides, and if it doesn't land on yours, this could all fall apart. So, for those of you who want to, if you don't believe me, Google AOL Time Warner merger, and literally the words "worst merger in history of business" pops up. I'm shit you not. You can do it right now. I can bring it up for you. And it is the genesis. It is where we are now. It is the unlearned lesson of where we are now and where we could potentially be. All right, go ahead, Brett.
So the report is for Business Insider. Leaked audio from a company-wide meeting has revealed that David Zaslav thinks it will take at least 6 to 12 months for the Warner Brothers Paramount deal to close. And the quote from this says the deal may not close. If it doesn't close, we get $7 billion. We go back to work. So he's pretty much just straight up saying there, like he doesn't even. He's like fine either way whether this happens.
He never really cared. He was gonna make out. He's not there for Warner Brothers. Like in that respect, he was there. His job, in all fairness, was to get the company's valuation up for his stock. His main focus in his job and his obligation is to his stockholders. Now that sucks for the studio, but that's his job. I can't really blame him for that. Now that I have a better understanding after 2 or 3 years of him of what it was always going to be, now I can't really knock him because that was his job. He did his job. Everybody else fucked up. So, and if it doesn't get sold, I truly believe that someone else will be in the shadows waiting to buy it because they don't want to keep it. David Zaslav and the people who backed him to buy this did not get in it to stay. And which goes back to my other comment of everybody who's attached themselves to this has not been there to make a great studio. They're in there to get their pound of flesh and get the hell out. So I want to see this studio purchased by somebody who's actually going to maximize its influence. And I think, believe it or not, as much people like to skim across the surface and make Netflix the Satan of entertainment. If you look at their game plan, what they are, and what they were planning on doing, that would have helped both Netflix and Warner Brothers maintain their integrity.
And I've seen like Mark Hughes and Forbes had an article actually about BBS that came out the other day, and I've seen some other people like kind of made this comment. It was the theory I kind of posited too, that like what if like the Netflix like not matching the bid was this might be like tactical on their part, where they actually expect this is not going to get government approval, this merge falls apart, that we come back in and get it for like a lot cheaper than we were going to have to pay to.
Well, I think that could happen, but I don't think that was a plan. I think that it just might be a plot product of reality.
I think that I'm becoming more and more convinced of the potential of that to be a reality.
Well, yeah, because you have shaky foundations. Like I said before, this is a Jenga. This is a house of cards. If one of those cards flips, then the whole thing comes down. And this is why I don't understand this bid is because if you had told me that there were other reasons why you were turning it down the other 10 times, we just didn't have this or that, and they were systematically fixing those, right? But when you tell me that one of the main reasons that they didn't want to do it with you not only was it not fixed, but in my opinion, exasperated. I don't know how that deal gets closed. It only got closed because of the raw number. But yeah, the regulatory process could change. The people within the regulatory process, even the stuff, because if somebody posted, well, the first regulatory hurdle has been proved. No, because that system got timed out. That process, as far as declaring and all that, there's a long process. And that's without the lawsuits. That's without the hearings. Because if Congress flips before this is done, and they start subpoenaing all these guys to talk to Congress, and they basically say, we're not going to, we're going to attach these other things and not approve it. Or if there is a legal process, because once an attorney general files a lawsuit, it's a federal lawsuit, so you have to go through the federal process, and a judge is going to put a stay on any progress of the merger while that progress is going on. So,
and I personally was like, if I were betting man, I do think, especially in light of events of the last 24 hours, I would be surprised if Congress doesn't flip in November.
Oh yeah, it was flipping,
and that's like on top of like all the other, in this country, it's like it's as I said the other night, it's like it's not uncommon in midterm election years for the incumbent party to like lose control of the House. And
yeah, that happens.
Yeah, we flip flop the left and right as far as like which parties in control.
Except for the last midterm election where Joe Biden only lost Congress, but he did not lose the Senate.
Yeah, but again, with the events of the last year and then of the last day, I don't think the odds favor Congress not flipping.
No, they know it's going to flip, and then there's certain things that certain people are doing because they know it's going to flip, and the shit's not going to work. All right, some of these questions are for Dawson. He's gone, but I'll answer our part of them. William, Brad, DJ, there are rumors going around the internet that David Ellison is not a fan of Connected Universe. He's more of a fan of big events. I have not seen that, and that, sorry, Hunter, that lives and dies by the fact that it's a rumor.
Well, it doesn't matter if he's a fan of it or not. It's a matter of whether or not he wants to. As to quote a movie I'm sure William hates, Joe Dirt, it's not what you like, it's the consumer. And I'm sure William does hate Joe Dirt.
I don't hate it because I never gave it the time of day. It looked stupid and I never saw it.
Well, even the title, come on, it's like that title tells you whether or not you're going to enjoy it.
No, there's no fast tracking it. See, what Trump and all those guys are doing, fast tracking, they can get it past a certain part of the antitrust scrutiny, but there's other elements involved that don't have anything to do with the administration, and a lot of that is litigation. Like there are going to be states that file antitrust suits, and you have to hear those. And it's not just going to be blue states because, like I was explaining last night with Dave, is whenever you do something like this and you go with the synergy, which is cutting jobs, you are affecting the supply chain that affects multiple states. So multiple states will have a suit against you. The state of Georgia, there's a lot of the film supply chains that runs through the state of Georgia right now. California, there are places all over, and you have places in the EU. The EU is another one that has to clear this, that might have an issue, because a lot of these studios use London. I mean, if you're decreasing, and David Ellison, I never really believed anything you had to say to begin with. But getting on here, and people, please don't believe this. We're going to be putting out 15 movies for each studio, and we're going to keep them in theaters for 45 days. I'm not a rocket scientist. I will freely admit this, but I'm not a fucking moron either. We all know that you're going to do what the market says you do because you're not in it to lose that kind of money. And you can't do that because you got $90 billion of debt, 56.7 of it with interest. So there's no way you could say you can keep. See, fans and cinephiles want to hear that shit because it sounds romantic. You are not going to keep all these movies in the thing. You may do just like Ted Sarandos said. We can set that as a standard, but if it ain't going right, it ain't going right. We'll pull it. And if we have to pull more movies than we keep in because of that situation, he left himself that out, which is the actual truth, no matter what Ellerson is saying. Now, as far as putting out that many movies, with what money? You're going to literally have to pare your company down in order to not carry a $90 billion debt load. You are going to have to get rid of every duplicate and redundant part of your company. That's not enough to put out the same amount of movies that a full-fledged operating studio that you didn't cut up is going to be. That's some bullshit. So no, they're going to run into. There are different things that Paramount is going to run into, and a lot of it is going to be lawsuits and unions and things. That anybody who's affected in the supply chain had a bigger stake in Netflix getting it, in my opinion, than Paramount getting it, because you did not have the redundancy, you did not have the duplication, so you would not have had that job loss. So there you go. All right. Anything with Scary Movie on, I'm just going to skip, guys. All right. So glitched. Okay. I'm going all the way through some of you guys, so I may not stop on everyone, but we when we have a guest like that and we have subjects, I can't hit everybody. Let's see. Yeah, and that basically what they were telling you that. I mean, they were trying to distract you with other stuff, and then Seth Rollins has been all over on ESPN and all these other shows, and basically saying it was him. So, let's see. I am just becoming a fan of his show. I've only watched a couple of them, but I know I'm behind it. Let's see. Zack Snyder. Just trying to get down. No, 56K was. Yeah, 14K was of the ones you bought in the store. It was 14.4, and then it was 56K. And then your cable modem, your minimum cable modem. Yeah, no, you have 14.4, 56K, and then 128, and then your cable modem was 512. And that was download speed. Upload speed was like, something we created. Oh yeah, dude, it's yeah. Yeah, because you could rip songs within seconds. Napster, LimeWire, all those viruses. It's Skydance is smaller compared to Fairnounts. They just have big pockets. No, they don't. They borrowed the money for Skydance. Skydance borrowed the money to finance the Paramount sale. There's deeper pockets involved, Antonio, but they ain't theirs. Aaron, I remember the AOL Time Warner Brothers merger when I was a kid, and thought as a kid, wait, that what Intercom? Yeah, because it was ridiculous, and it's not ridiculous in hindsight. It was ridiculous then, but they moved it so fast that nobody could react. Once WCW was bought, ECW and other indie promotions who thought they had a chance at the time. Yeah, because you lost a big option. You lost a big option, and whenever you lose a workplace like that, the one that's left can treat you like shit, and that's what happened. Tony Baker, yeah, California is not going to allow this to happen. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen in Saudi Arabia involved, despite what people want to tell themselves. They go to sleep at night, wake up. Well, like I said, right, it's in my lifetime, the Middle East has always been a volatile place. Since I've been on this planet, the Middle East has been a volatile place. Not just today, but in general. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's nothing. I mean, those guys had to be talked into getting on board with this. So I don't know. Okay. I think we kind of know Paramount has. Well, no, they have an agreement in place, but like even Zaslav, who has the more reason in the world to be tap dancing and say it's a done deal, baby. He knows. And you get a couple of attorney generals start to sue, even if they were to win those lawsuits, you're not going to progress. You are not going to move along the system while there are still legal questions involved. So once those lawsuits are filed, the process stops. Because anything you move forward into may violate settled law at that point. So yeah. Not you're talking about Netflix without Warner Brothers, but Netflix with Warner Brothers would not have been that way. See, I think people have this bastardized, archaic version of what they can't let go of what Netflix is as a singular entity. They don't have, not necessarily saying forth, they don't have the imagination to actually see beyond that. And that's unfortunate because a lot of really smart people said some really stupid shit in the last week to derail things. Oh, the Paramount Peace Award? Yeah, that's hilarious. Ellis lied about Paramount Board when he said they were going to fire people and proceeded to fire. Yeah, well, those people shouldn't have been stupid enough to believe. Those people are smarter than me, and like I told you guys, if Ellison told me that the sky is blue, like I said, I'm sending somebody out to check while I keep my eye on him. I never believe anything that guy says. Chappy, question: could you see this merger, Paramount, Warner, not happening
right now?
Yeah. Without people of the government that aren't against this happening and people in the film industry.
That's all. Yeah. It happened like as soon as. Yeah, I mean that was within minutes. People in the business and the government were making their feelings known. So
go ahead.
It goes back to what I was saying, where it's like, that could create like an opening for Netflix to take another shot at it, at a cheaper price,
or at their last offer. Yeah. Programming note. Monday I will be on the air. We will be doing a fundraiser, a small fundraiser for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And next Friday we are going to start doing not live streams, but we're going to be streaming because I already missed the first episode because I've been busy, of Monarch Legacy of the Monsters. We're going to have a double bill next Friday. I will do episodes 1 and 2 of season 2, and then every subsequent Friday until the series is done, we will be doing it on Fridays. It gets released on Thursdays, but we got a lot going on, and it's the only place in the schedule I can put it. So programming out there, house cleaning. There you go. All right, let's see. Yeah, I mean, they didn't really do a lot to hide it. He got booed. I met Danhausen. We did, he was at the Trauma booth with me one year. I don't know why they were booing Danhausen. I don't know if they were just booing WWE or that whole crate thing in the box. It was Danhausen. They've been teasing this for weeks who it was, and people had all these other guests. And I'm like, first of all, people were like, well, how could they be in it? That person wasn't in there that long. But it ended up being Danhausen. I guess people were kind of disappointed. I like Danhausen, but I could see the disappointment. They booed him. Kind of sucked. Let's see. I don't have a real opinion on Max Landis one way. I'm not as up to date on Max Landis.
He's a real shit bag.
Yeah, which is I don't have. I'm not going to comment on Max Landis because I haven't done my research on Max Landis. I know there's issues with him, but I don't know the issues specific. And I have a motto: if I don't know, I don't know. Yeah, Christopher Nolan and James Cameron spewing out all this bullshit. I already know how I feel about how I feel about Nolan on that basis, not his movie making basis, which I'm a fan of a couple movies and the rest I could do without, but on the way, in my opinion, he throws his prestige and weight around to affect certain situations. I think it's not cool, and I have all the respect for James Cameron in the world, but I did not think that was cool. I think that was fucking stupid. And you have guys like that with that much weight and influence. If they throw it in the wrong direction, things could end up in the wrong direction. I can't believe he did that because I'm screaming at him, like, what about the 6,000 plus or whatever minimum amount of jobs that this synergy is going to cost. Are you paying those people? Are you going to hire those people? I know you can afford to, but that doesn't mean you will. So everybody who's going to lose their job over redundancy are James Cameron and Christopher Nolan going to pay for their kids' colleges, their food, their day, all the stuff that those people are going to lose out while you guys are giving these speeches about let's save what I believe cinema should be. Let's save this myth of cinema because. Not because the market is dictating that you do it, but because you got some sentimental attachment to something that may not add up. So now here we are. Let's see. I'm reading the whole Max Landis thing. Like I said, I'm not going to comment on Max Landis because I only heard about it because of G.I. Joe. I did not know who he was. So yeah, I will form an opinion about that when I get the knowledge to form an opinion about that. Thank you for the $5 super chat. National Paramount apparently has blacklist of actors that can't work for them, or that can't work for them now. They're getting WB. That better not ever see the light of day, because that gets added to the top of the antitrust, and that's literally what a monopoly is. That's literally what a monopoly. Even though neither one of these are monopolies. But that's literally what a monopoly or having that kind of leverage would allow you to do. It's what it allowed Vince McMahon to do. It allowed them to treat people like shit because you shrunk the market where they can find work. There are laws against that. So, yeah, if that could ever get proven, and trust me, wherever there's a blacklist, there's a jackass that'll leak it. They would face massive litigation if that ever happened. Hunter Iggy, question, William, do you see Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount license James Gunn, DC? Okay, let me see. I don't know. I don't even know if James Gunn's going to stay. James Gunn's contract is going to be up while this is all happening.
By the way, I don't know if you guys talked about this in the box, but there can't be apparently speculating that Gunn may walk because he's not. Yeah. He doesn't.
He said all of them would walk.
Like Ellison's policy. Well, and then like there been that Gunn has been. He has been. Well, he wouldn't be one of them, and certainly not publicly, and at this stage. But I mean, like behind the scenes, apparently a lot of Warner Brothers employees have threatened to walk if the Paramount became the new owner, and I mean, he may or may not be one of them.
Like I said last night, and I think John Campea is right on that. By the way,
you think Gunn may walk?
Yeah. Because he contracts up. The people who brought you in, even if Zaslav stays in the loop, he is not the end all be all that he was when he hired you. There is going to be somebody above him, and that somebody is a visionary that has his own vision of the way he wants to see things done. And a lot of that clashes. And if David Ellison, beyond him being an asshole, if he organizes the capital and he engineers his sale and is his ass on the line, he has the right to make those type of changes. And I think that I don't think Abdi and DeLuca would I don't think it's guaranteed that they stay, because there are this year that Warner Brothers has opened the door for them to be swallowed up and bought out. They can buy. Listen, they're under contract, but if I'm Universal, if I'm Netflix, I want them. I can easily buy their contracts out and take them out. James Gunn doesn't have a contract beyond a certain amount of time, and it lines up with the stuff that he has in pre-production is actually hitting film. So anything beyond the things that are in filming right now or in pre-production, I don't even know, and that's why I said last night. I know he came up and said we're going to keep the infrastructure in place and everybody's going to stay. Fuck out of here, dude! I posted a two-legged horse racing. If you guys believe that on its face, I got a two-legged horse that I need you to DM me about so I can sell it to you. Without a contract, I don't give a fuck what words are. Words don't mean shit to me. Contracts do. Have you ever seen that commercial with Keegan, whatever his name is? Where people, where they're sitting there talking about, oh, this is going to be a kid. I'm going to leave this to you, and if anything, I want this, the neighbors that he's like, doesn't mean anything. And he pops up out of there, not without a will. Without a contract, words aren't shit. You can say anything you want to. You can come out and say, you know what, I love these people. I want to keep them forever. Without a contract, you're just blowing hot air. So if you come out and say, and not just a contract, because contracts can be bought out, I'm talking about in order for me to have faith and the long-term viability of this universe, or i.e. it's going to happen, I need a contract that is so ironclad that it's a pain in the ass for you to fuck with. You look at that, wow, I don't really like James Gunn. Let me get, wow, that contract. Oh, no, that's got a bunch of thorns. Nope. I want a contract like that to the point where it hurts you. It hurts you in a bad way to break that contract. When I see one of those next to James Gunn's name, then I'll be like, okay, let's go forward. Now there's water in that pool now. Instead of you wanting me to put a blindfold in and jump off the diving board. Nope. Without a contract, nothing Ellison says means anything to me. So yeah. So that but like I said, and plus he can walk. And like I was telling last night, and some people didn't want to believe me, is Kevin Feige's not going to be at Marvel Studios forever.
He wants to do like a Star Wars movie for a while now.
If he were to take over, or if he were to start just going down to not being a producer and direct or do anything like that, or go to Universal, go to somewhere else, because he's proven everything. There's nothing else he can do with Marvel Studios that he hasn't already done. If he looks for a new challenge, and James Gunn is available, James Gunn would be unemployed for about 5 minutes. And that's only for as long as it took for somebody to find out that he was unemployed. Look at what happened. Look at what non-studio head. Look how long he went without a job as a non-studio head when Marvel fired him. Not that long. So I don't think it's a guarantee that any of the current hierarchy sticks around. This is not their guy. Their guy would be Zaslav. Zaslav is the one that signed Abdi and DeLuca to that contract. Zaslav's the one that hired Gunn. And not only did he hire them, he gave them purview. He stepped away because he knows he's not a filmmaker. He knows he's not in the film industry that way. Ellison's going to have to be told that. And I don't think he's going to listen. So there you go. All right. Let's see. We're just going through these. Yes, there are antitrust laws. Not just all the media. There are certain laws with you owning a certain percentage.
I mean, that's like you don't get more monopoly than like one person owning all the media.
Yeah, that's the monopoly. But it all not says it. There's a lot of factors. Like I said, the key word here is going to be how eliminating the leverage of an independent company like Warner Brothers is going to have a reverberating effect, supply chain, job wise, across the board. And two, the more important than that than the workers and everybody else who get screwed is the consumer, because the AGs of these states are suing on behalf of their constituents. They're not just their voters, but the general public, because the general public kind of gets screwed here too. You're taking affordability off the table, and that's the job of the public office to protect that. Because if you merge, and that's what he said he's going to do, if he takes HBO and Paramount Plus and makes them one app, and I can barely afford one or two of those, you basically, not only have you made things more expensive for me, you've eliminated an option for me. So that's going to be a heavy basis of that lawsuit. So yeah, there are laws. They haven't reached the monopoly stage yet, but they have reached the antitrust concern stage. 𝔇𝔍 still has a lot of time on the contract because of the injuries. Whenever you're injured for a significant amount of time in AEW, I think anywhere, you get paid for that. But you get that time added on your contract because Tony Khan or whoever the promoter is never had access to use you on TV. So they get that time back. So like Britt Baker, when Britt Baker comes back, no matter if she could have 5 minutes left on her contract, if she was out for 8 months, 9 months, and it was a legit injury, she got paid, but they're adding that time onto the contract. So I knew it wasn't going to be 𝔇𝔍. There's always been a blacklist for actors. In some cases, a lot of actors get around it anyway. But when you're talking about a merger and you're being, you're having all your shit sifted through like this, if that's one of the things that comes up, that's not good. Let's see. He signed a 6 or 7 month extension last year. I don't know what that ends, but that puts him at the end of 2026. That puts him at the end of 2026 into 2027. Not long enough for anything else that's not currently in production to be done. Let's see. I'm skipping some of these because they're volatile. Could you? Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, I can see a documentary. I can see an live action like the social net. I can see, and it's gonna be sleazy. It's gonna be sleazy because you have a lot of sleazy entities involved in this. How are you? If James Gunn was still at Disney, he would have did the fantastic movie, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know because you're asking me to get inside the heads of bad management. Because when Superman started production, we were still in between bad management. Let's see. All right, guys. Covered all the thumbnails. Covered everything. Anybody else got anything for me?
Did we want to go into or I think this might be what you're talking about for Monday with the FSP drive. It's we were talking about like Martin Short's daughter and
we can talk about them briefly. I meant to put them on certain shows, but then I'm like, I didn't want to. If I have a guest, I didn't want to mix that.
Truncate it, yeah.
Yeah. So we had two individuals in the last 14 days. More than that actually. We had a couple more. That famous people, notable people that have committed suicide, and if you look at it in the last 12 months, there's actually been quite a few. So we're gonna go over this, and I have drifted away because of the flow of the show, doing a lot of our stuff. We need to do another marathon. We need to do other things. I got a lot going on in the actual real non-YouTube world right now. Important stuff that is kind of all-consuming at certain times. So I have not had the that kind of time and bandwidth, energy. Getting issues. Yeah. What'd you say?
Williams told me about some of that.
Yeah, so there's some issues going on that hopefully turn out for the best. They are going to turn out for the best. It's just which way they're going to turn out that I'm working on, dealing with issues here. So in real life, those things take energy, even if it's not physically lifting and pushing. It's a mental drain sometimes, and then putting together a decent quality show. I mean, I could put together some of the hack shows that we put together in the past, but I'm trying to steer the show into a more quality-based type of format. So if you guys haven't been able to tell, but when it comes to those type of situations where it's serious business, when we do fundraisers for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, it's serious business. I know we joke about it, but there are serious consequences to people not getting out. And that's just the long and short of it.
And that was something Zach himself in the interview with Josh Horowitz we were talking about earlier. That was, I mean, he's like at every step of like when he's asked about the legacy of his Justice League movie, that's something he just invariably circles back to because of the tragedy that he went through and how much that's something I on a personal level I'm very proud of, being a part of the fandom that not just the work doing that that important work for suicide prevention, but also I mean that you could just tell how uplifting that was for him and still is for him to see his fans do something like that.
And I'm glad he defended. I'm glad somebody's out there.
Yeah.
Defending. Listen, I know there are people out there that don't know how to act or conduct themselves. They've taken this into a different world, but I'm happy whenever I see him or somebody like him defend us, because be honest with you, these people that you guys talk to or talk about and put in your thumbnails, the only way I ever hear about them is through other YouTubers, because I don't engage with them, and it's not that hard for you not to. But there is a brotherhood of us. There is a community here that has done not just good work with AFSP, but has done good work for each other. There are a lot of people I know that came together when shit was going real bad, and this was their comfort zone, and it helped them, a lot of people, get through. And we turned around, we raised money, collectively raised money, individual in our show, we raised money. We've done things like that. We put the awareness out there. And I don't go out looking for a badge of honor or anything else like that. We just do it. And a lot of people just do it, and they have to deal with some shithead calling us cultists, and then, I wasn't talking about you. And you know what? If we have to have a conversation about who the fuck you're talking about, because they blur the lines when they want to. They blur the lines when they want to. When they're talking, when they're on the screen with you, they blur the lines. Oh, I'm only talking about the toxic ones. But when you listen to the paragraphs that they end up typing, whenever they do come across my timeline, it ends up invariably talking about all of us. And it's just like, I don't need you in my life. You don't need me in your life. We don't like the same things. I'm going to stay out of your mentions. I'm going to stay out of your DMs. I'm going to stay out of your life. You should really do the courtesy of, if there's something you don't like, it doesn't matter where it is. You know how much energy it takes to involve yourself into someone else's bullshit? You know how much life drain it takes to entangle yourself into someone else's shit that you don't like? Why? So I was happy to see that still matters to him. I know it will always matter to him for obvious reasons, but I'm glad when it comes up in conversation, somebody in the room is standing up for the majority of us who are just here to make things better than they were when we logged on. And that's really the long and short of that. So I was happy to see that as well. Who else we got here? Oh, question, William. Do you see Netflix going after James Gunn? Oh, fuck yeah. I didn't want to actually say that out loud.
What do you mean going after? You mean like
if they leave their current positions or are bought out of their current position or request to be bought out of their current positions, I absolutely see them because I think, and Campy is 100%, and I was thinking this before he said it. No, you were watching Campy. That during this process, this year-long process of finding a buyer and then the months-long process of working with Ted Sarandos, and because they were working side by side when they thought it was going to go down, I think they built a relationship there.
Oh, there's no way because it was. I mean, they were that close to making it happen. And again, it's like it may still, flip again if Congress flips, which I think Congress will flip.
Say what you want about Ted Sarandos and with your boogeymen and horror stories about Netflix existent or non-existent. He is not the overt asshole that David Ellison seems to be. So when you have people that are overtly like that out in the open, that's probably what they are worse and behind closed doors. So if you're Abdi and DeLuca and you bought in, you this guy, Zaslav, came in, said, you know what? I don't know a thing about this. You do. Here's the keys. I'm leaving. Call me if you need me. If you're James Gunn, this guy picked you. Process sucked the way it got done, but it got done. He picks you. He gives you the keys. Let you do your thing, and your first major thing, the first weekend it hits, what's he do 2 days later? He's out there backing you, and then he goes back to doing his thing. Now, that's all you want. If you have existed under that environment, if you don't have to exist under any other type of environment, you're just not going to. Their contracts are not such where they couldn't be bought out. They probably have enough money to buy out their own contracts or be compensated by whoever takes them on. James Gunn, you don't even have to buy him out. His contract is going to be up. By the time this merger probably won't even be done by the time his contract is up. So I really think that's a good question. I really think there is a good chance that not just those individuals we talked about, but a lot of it, Casey Bloys has been the foundation of HBO Max. So, I mean, I think a lot of these people, and Netflix will pay them. So, I definitely say it. Also, even though Dave says I'm going to keep you all, I love you. You generally are loyal to the people who brought you to the dance and brought you to this point. And he already has those people. All those people that have been advising him and working for him at the same level that those people are, he's not going to keep all of those. He can't afford to be honest with you. You're going to be cutting thousands of jobs. You're not going to, the highest paid people in the room are going to be guys like that.
It's just paid. They just bought the company for more than it's worth.
Yeah.
So.
You got $90 billion. And they said, I was reading an article from Bloomberg, they immediately upon acquisition must cut that debt load down in order to reach certain parameters of deals of the loan. So it's not going to be pretty, but hey, who knows? This has been why this merger has. I want to take a picture of myself. I want to look at what I looked like before this fucking merger. And I think I looked like the presidents, like the ones that actually do shit.
Like Barack Obama.
Yeah, Barack Obama with all his black hair when he started in 2008. By the time his 8 years is up, he looked like a fucking aged Muppet. And George W. Bush looked like a raisin after he was done. I mean,
Obama. I joke that Obama, because it talks about the presidency ages you, and like the joke I tell, look at Obama now, and he's been out for quite a while. I joke that the joke I tell is that he went in Will Smith, he came out Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, the only one that didn't age was Reagan because he was already old.
Yeah.
I know the Duffer Brothers signed a deal with Paramount. That's fine. But here's the thing, and I said this last night. If you can lose Taylor Sheridan, you can lose anybody. If you didn't have the wherewithal, I don't care how short a time you own that company, if you didn't do everything possible to keep the guy who's meant so much to that company, if that guy can walk, you can't tell me that anybody else could stay there forever. That was the guy. I mean, you don't let him. You strip the paint off the walls and sell it to him. You do whatever you need to do to keep that guy. So that guy, James Gunn, Abdi DeLuca combined, for what he meant to Paramount and Paramount Plus and their programming, he eclipses all those people. Because he's already a proven winner, and you let him walk. Yeah, he got offered a crap ton of money, but I'm sorry, that's part of your asset management. You found money from the Emirates and everybody else. You find the money to keep that guy. Or plus, I've heard, these are rumors, you know how I feel about those. He's an asshole to work for, and if you're Sheridan, you know you can get a bag and work for people you like. Shit. So all right, Flyler, see if Gunn leaves, will Corn Sweat and the other cast stay? I wouldn't see why not. I wouldn't see why. I don't even know if they. I see, and this is the thing, and I'm not going to say I know what I don't know. I don't know where this is going to wrap up in regards to DCU, and you guys can say, well, it's moving the goalpost because some people will accuse me of that. No, I have been consistent since day one, since the DCEU was mismanaged into the ground. When we were even talking about another beginning, that why? Why should I trust you? Why should I trust you with new money when I have watched you for 10 years do with my old money? I don't trust you with my cash. And the reason is because if you did this once you have the reboot throwaway tool in your toolbox, once you've seen that tool, that you know it's in there. You know it's in there, and it's irresistible to use again. So now here we are again. You know, I don't even have the benefit of having seen Lanterns to be like, yeah, at least I got that. As I get closer to this whatever the fuck disaster, we may get more light on the fact that, okay, this guy's planning on ripping everything up. I don't know. But I don't think I should, as a consumer, once again, the most important thing between a consumer and the customer, whether it's movies, comic books, drugs, women, don't care. The most important thing between me as a retailer and you as a customer is trust. You have to trust me to follow through with what if your expectation is that The Dark Knight Returns is due out today and it's on the shelf, that is my job to make sure it's there. And if I fuck up and it's not there, you don't trust me anymore. You can't trust me with your time, and you can't trust me when it comes to entertainment continuity. That's another thing. That's the one thing DC is the cardinal sin for DC in both movies and in comics, and they're just not getting over it, is continuity. When you do all these dumbass reboots, you're telling your old school customer that their time is not valuable to you. And if you're going to say that, then it's not worth it to me. You're not, I don't trust you as a consumer. And that's what this DC thing is right now. People are looking at me. They're never going to get rid of James Gunn. This is always he's going to 10-year plan. It's going to be, yeah. The only reality I have your bluster and your imagination and your hopeful and your wishful thinking. You have that. I have 2013 to 2021. It's a large chunk of my life. Nobody's getting any younger. There are so many things out there right now to enjoy. I'm not going to invest any emotion or any wherewithal into the DCU. When it comes out, whatever comes out, I'll take a look at it. We'll talk about it. If I like it, I'll say I like it, and then that's it. I don't, a lot of these franchises and stuff, the big benefit for me is I feel, and most customers feel, they are a part of something than just the one ticket you paid for. That is the lifeblood of these things. And if I don't feel like I'm a part of something that's stable, then fuck it. Fuck it. I'm going to let all the other fools jump into the pool. And when I see one come out and say, wow, that was a great swim, I'll be like, okay, let me look and see. But until then, no. Fool me once, So thank you for the $2 super chat, Rational. John Morrison. John Morrison isn't on the daily conversation wrestling, but he ain't been. Oh, he lost his hair. He did a haircut match the other day. That's the second hair loss. Hair loss. Willie Yuta lost his hair, but these guys grew out their hair so that could happen. People have a problem with Ted because he hates the theater experience and thinks people go to seeing streaming movies. He's not entirely wrong. Hi, how you doing? He's not wrong, and I said that when he said, and people came after me. He's only saying what the numbers are telling him, and he's not Ted Sarandos by accident. He's sitting on top of one of the most successful companies of all time, in large part due to a lot of things that he and his co-CEO have done. Now, also keep in mind, he didn't say he didn't hate it. He just didn't see it as viable. But what you're talking about with what would have been the combination of Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix is not something he ever commented on. That's a theater business with complementary business to his own. There's growth there. So, yeah, I agree with the perception. I think the perception of this merger has been absolute garbage. Did you nail anything there?
A little bit. Is this one? Is it still $4.99?
Yep.
It is?
Yep.
Okay. So the price on them.
Oh, yes, unless I have them marked.
Okay.
But since you want this one, $30. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm about to say, shit, girl, we're going. So she loves Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
She has a few collectible comic books. And we've been kind of on our adventure. So, yeah, okay.
I got tons. I got a Spider-Man section over there.
I see.
Miles Morales is the one that's been doing a lot of young collectors connect with Miles Morales more than anything else. So.
I wanted to make sure it was actually $5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll see something like that on the ones that are not covered.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
No
all right.
problem.
Well, come on. All right. You can call someone.
What was I saying?
There's another walk-on customer transaction with William and the Sci-Fi 7.
If you ask me if I get customers at this, yes.
I remember one. It's like when the Flash was out, and somebody asked you got like a conversation about with Ezra Miller and kind of all that drama. So it's I just whenever that happens, I just sit back and just let it play out. It's like okay, people get like a little glimpse of the again the day-to-day operation of the Sci-Fi Center.
Like I said, most comic book stores are closed by this time, and I am because of where I'm currently knock on wood. Story for next week. This is the majority.
About that story too. So
I hope I am here. I love here. I've invested a lot of time and money into here, but I am a chameleon. My colors change with the situation but. I'm hoping, like I said, long story. I will go into detail after I feel a lot better about it, and I'm more sure about it. Because, like I said, I'm going to make the best business decision, even if it's an inconvenient and one that I don't feel like doing. But I like it here because, like I said, I've gotten because we've been on air till 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and there's been people in the store. What were we saying before that though? Was I answering? Also, he was basically just saying.
Furious is you can't wait for the Furious.
No, I could care less. When it comes to what Ted Sarandos is saying, I think the perception of this merger outpaced the reality of this merger. Stupid people got the ball and ran before the quarterback could actually throw the ball. And that's where you had, and some smart people too. I won't even say it's stupid people. James Cameron and Nolan are smart people. And that's what pissed me off. They know better. They knew what they were saying was absolute nonsense and fear mongering, and I was really disappointed. I like people who have a platform, and I don't think actors and actresses and athletes should just not talk. I mean, they're tax-paying American citizens. They are a part of the zeitgeist. They are part of the consumer world. So I like it when they throw their. But for them to do it in a way that, in my opinion, was misleading. And you're not talking about two lightweights. You're talking about $2 billion level Academy Award winning directors and producers. And for them, when they talk, people will listen. And then when they were talking some BS, and people were listening. And I can't help to think that didn't help shape the perception in the wrong way. When it came to this merger. Obama was already a chain smoker. Yeah, but he gave up smoking. He quit smoking when he became president. Actually, no, he quit smoking when he became a senator. Yeah, because his wife made him. That's a woman I admire, man. I wish she would have. Let's see. How you doing, Danny, man? What's going on? Yeah, but he stayed and he knew he had other roles and stuff coming. I mean, you're talking about an actor. That's why I don't know if 𝔇𝔠 would leave. I don't think the executives would stay, but an actor, it's just a job to them. They're in that movie, and then they go. A lot of these guys aren't exclusive to the DCU. They're not exclusive to Warner Brothers. They could play a Marvel character. I mean, Michael Rooker's been in everywhere. He's Yondu, and then he's everything else. So, I mean, to them, but when you're talking about the executives, that's a little bit different because you're talking about the movers and shakers. So, I don't know, guys. You're going to hear me say this over the next couple of years. When this ordeal is what I'll call it as it unfolds. I don't know. I will try to answer the best, but I am not an expert on that. But not even the experts have been right on this because common sense did not prevail Thursday afternoon. Desire and passion and vanity did. So here's overrated. I agree. Let's see. You disrespected Michael Jordan. Nah, here we go with the Jordan thing. Listen, guys, Jordan is not Paul Bunyan. He's not, he's not Thor riding down from the heavens with his goats. I mean, I mean, it drives me crazy because I've been watching basketball since the 80s. And whenever you say Jordan is not the greatest of all time, people look at you like you're, like you're walking around on all fours. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't think he is. But if you are going to say that, you have to respect the era that he played into. I'm sorry, the 90s wasn't it. Wasn't it? But you'll get people that will take off their shoes and throw them at you and shank you or whatever, because Jordan has become this mythical, Yeti. I mean, it's like, sure. I mean, fine. I've seen all these eras, and I think there are other people ahead of him. Let's see. Hello, Joker. Haven't you been here already, Joker, or did you just not get here? Horowitz should have asked Zach his thoughts on the Flash and on the DCU project. Be honest with you, I think he would have been it would have been the same answer. He would have praised the filmmakers and done. Ready? He would have praised the filmmakers and done the same thing he did with all the other movies. What you got? Oh, see, yeah, Miles Morales. There you go.
So let me ask you: do you have any? That's the only Miles and
got a ton of Miles.
More Miles, more things with ghosty as well.
Yeah. Here. Okay. Hey, take over for a second, Brad.
I want to say ghosty is her girl, so that's.
All right, let me. You guys got the comments. What was the reason? What was the reason? The pandemic was the reason. It didn't get pushed back as far as I think it should have. I think they should have done like the Fast and Furious did that year. They bump it back a year to when movie theaters didn't have like crime scene tape on every other aisle, and you didn't have to wear masks and they actually had a fighting chance. So that's what that's what I think they should have done as far as if you were committed to a wide theatrical release, we'll like take it to safer waters. And yeah, it's like I think that and he's already talked about he said the Flash, he liked Flash, and I mean he's not gonna he's not gonna go on there and like totally just like crap all over like the other DC movies or like anybody else's projects. I mean, even if he didn't like Gunn's if he didn't like Gunn's Superman, he would have just said it's like, yeah, it's like he would have said, yeah, that's fine. That's what he would have kept it at that. He would have been very diplomatic. He's not gonna be a total prick about that. So yeah. Well, again, like he's kind of said, I don't know what the future holds, Lobo wise, beyond Supergirl, and now we got this whole business.
I think a lot. I think you're going to see a Lobo movie. It would defy money making. I got a MILF magnet that I'm going to use them.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like numbers.
Huh?
It's not gonna do like Aquaman numbers.
Well, Aquaman had the DCEU built up. I mean, without BVS, without all these things that you saw, and you had Justice League. So you had 2 movies before him. I think Momoa can get to that number. But Justice League, even the bad Justice League, the one we all hate, that's people. The MILF saw that.
Well,
and they saw BVS. So
that's also contingent on like the rug not getting pulled out from under the franchise. Yeah.
That too, and if the rug is pulled, is it pulled in a way that is like completely, or is it in a way like I said last night? We don't have to move James Gunn as president or CEO of DC Studios. We can promote some executive guy above him and beside him. If you want to control the narrative, he wants to do that. Then James Gunn has to make a decision. Okay, do I want to work this? And if James Gunn bolts. If Jason Momoa has an opportunity to be that kind of anchor to a franchise, he's not necessarily going to bolt. Just because James Gunn leaves, if David Ellison says, you know what, I have a different idea for you as Lobo, but we still want to do it, Momoa would have to make a business decision. They're all going to have to make business decisions that are different from fan decisions. But if rug or no rug, whoever needs to make the money, if David Ellison's definitely going to need to make that money, I am riding a shirtless Lobo until no one's riding him no more. And as soon as, like I said, same shit you saw with same stuff you saw with Aquaman, with him walking into the water for no reason, shirtless. You think Lobo's ever going to wear a shirt in my DCU? Nope, because I want mom to keep dragging her and her kids. Hey, honey, don't you want to go see Lobo again? She's like, nah, we just been 5 times. I'll buy you a pop figure after the okay. So you could get to the point where Lobo is at. I have no use for the character, but it doesn't matter. It's Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa it has an effect on women, and women are 50%. Yeah. But so the actors may make business. Everybody's going to make a business decision that's appropriate for them. Gunn will, Zaslav will. He's already done it. Abdi and DeLuca will. They're all going to make business decisions based on where they're at. And to be in all fairness, we don't know where this is all going to be by the time Gunn's contract comes to an end, if he doesn't get extended. And not just an extension. I'm talking about ironclad to the point where the buyout is so big that it's not even worth me thinking about. When I make that decision to put you in this ironclad contract, I am saying I believe in your vision for the next 10 years, to the point where you're going to do your thing. Now we'll make adjustments and stuff. There'll be bonuses and stuff in it. So if you have an underperforming movie, everybody has one, then your bonus is smaller this year. But we believe in you overall that you continue to make the movie. I need to see that from whoever, whenever. And when I see that, then I'm gonna move a little bit closer to the pole. But right now, like I said, and I continue to say, I'm no longer the wrestling fan at ringside with my belts and my sign, which is not a metaphor. I've been that guy. I'm no longer that guy. I'm still rooting for you, but I'm at home now with this to protect me. Would I love to be at ringside again with DC? Yeah, but I got scars, man. And you don't get that time back when they waste it. All right. Baseball is good. Wow, dude. What the... Oh, that's blasphemy, Clinton. That is blasphemy.
We're going to have to go to Fremont for the other ones.
What else?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not going to fall. But you got to go to Fremont? You got to go to Fremont for it? You don't need it.
Well, I got it here. Fremont got another little, vintage store with the comic books and the toys and everything.
It's really going to be really
expensive.
And
their Spider-Man collection is a bit expansive.
Yeah, because it's just
a bit expensive, but a bit expansive. Yeah. So they got more of a selection, but I would pay $10 more.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to their selection for that particular character, it's going to be roughly. It's when you get into the other the Peter Parker, because Miles Morales has only been around since 2011.
Right. Yeah. So Miles is very slim, but she enjoys the original Peter Parker.
Oh, so you like Peter Parker too?
Yeah, she enjoys him. So
you like the old school with Punisher and all that stuff.
I like him, and she'll watch him with me, and she's enjoyed kind of that experience. But we'll pick around. Okay, we got to pay for this, bro. Hugging onto it like a snuggie.
It's $5.
Okay, friend, please tell me you take Apple Pay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cash is something that when people pull it out,
yeah,
I'm like,
you're
wow,
shocked.
they still make you?
Oh, thank you, Jesus. I'm like, God.
It'd be like you coming in here with a torch, lighting your way to my door. That's what using cash is these days to me. So
I'll walk outside blind, just Apple Pay in the phone. That's it.
Yeah, I'm surprised they still make the paper money, to be honest with you.
Jesus.
It used to be back in the day when the tourists would come in, and you remember when the conversion, you'd have to stop at like some place to get your money transferred. Yeah, and that was
a scam because you would always get a fee for somebody getting cash.
It's money laundering. Yeah. That's how you made your money.
Yeah, so. And I work for the bank, so I'm well aware of how that little fee works. It helps everybody. Well,
no,
it helps us.
it helps the economy, but
it don't help the working man at all.
Yeah, but now nobody really uses that anymore. I mean, I get some cash. Let's see if I got the other one back. There we go.
There we go.
Can you see anything? Let me get your bag.
And we coming back.
There you go. Enjoy.
I'm gonna get her through like the first 2 or 3 generations outside of Miles, and I promise she'll be coming back.
Word of advice.
Yeah.
For her age, trade paperbacks. Trade paperbacks.
Okay.
Because you're gonna go bankrupt, and even though the highs are because of certain issues, and you won't have the continuity. So if she gets locked into a story,
I've bought at least $200 worth of fucking.
Yeah. I would love to somebody who loves to take money. If she's building up towards something, it's gonna go a lot quicker.
She has a shelf like this. I mean, $200 worth of fucking.
It's quicker for a collector like that.
Yeah.
To get the reading material quicker and more volume than it is to buy the comics from that era because of the markup. And she'll get to a certain age to where she'll be like me. She'll be able to just mow a lawn, whatever, and get pick one out herself. But right now, you're going to be kind of constrained if you're going for a certain era, because you're only going to get for the value of your dollar. You're only going to get a certain amount of books,
right?
And whereas when for $14, $20, 6, 7 of those. You get that. Now you get 3 or 4 of those.
Bulk.
Exactly.
Yeah, almost like a wholesale price.
And then you come back when you're like,
How often are you open?
I am open pretty much every day but Monday.
Every day but Monday.
Every day but Monday, and I'm out of cards, but let me get
every
you.
Day but Monday.
Yeah, if you Google me right now, just Google the Sci-Fi Center.
It don't matter. Listen, I walk here.
Okay.
I live right down the street.
Cool.
I see you Wednesday. That's my off day.
All right.
I'm coming back Wednesday.
If it's not me, it's my worker Gage.
And it don't matter.
All
I'm
right.
coming back here to spend money, and I got more questions.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, where were we? Were we still talking about mergers? Because I'm going to talk about mergers. William Daniel, not since Gold Rush that William traded gold for comics. I don't even get the 6-7 thing, so I'm not involved in that. Yeah, this was a little girl just getting into comics. It's not gonna do her any good to spend $50, $60, like she just spent $200 for a certain amount of comics. I mean, every retailer would gladly take that money, but I'm not going to see that person as frequently as if I get them into the story. And I always say this, and he said it was signed by one of these doors. I'm going to, don't sell an item, sell a story. The story can be in this format. The story can be in trade paperback format. But if I sell you the story, your financial situation will gravitate towards what you need to do to start getting comic books and all that. Like the Absolute Universe, it doesn't mean no good to sell you Absolute Batman #1 if you're trying to get into the story and get all the issues. It makes more sense for me to sell you a trade paperback. And when your financial means evolves to that point, then we talk about getting you. But you're read into the story right now. You won't stop from getting into the hobby because you're walled out by finances. And for like a 4 or 5-year-old kid like that, buying Spider-Man, get them something. In that age, they're not the collector. They can tear it up. They can throw it and play fetch with it with the dog, and it's not going to matter because it's a trade paperback. As they get older and understand the value of things, then you start getting them, slab stuff and golden age stuff. So I hope when she goes down to Fremont Street, because those things are really expensive, but trade paperbacks is the way for right now. But I've had customers that I started with that they were 7, 8 years old, and as they grew into 25 and 30 years old and brought their kids back, it's that we started them out on the stuff that was low dollar or trade paperback, and they grew up, got jobs, came back and bought the other stuff, and now they coming in with that trade paperback that I sold them and looking for another volume. That's really what you want to do to keep this hobby, to keep any hobby alive. Never want to price people out, and you never want to. You never want to try to get as much out of them out any given transaction, because you want them to be back. And if you can't afford to come back here, then great. I had a good day, but I want to have a good 6, 7 years with you. So, let's see. Has anyone ever paid gold or silver at the Sci-Fi Center? No. No. I don't think I've ever had any gold in here. Maybe gold trim paint, maybe. That's crazy. Comic books around where I'm in Tennessee around 5. Yeah, and most of the ones around here, I think 8 o'clock. But because of where I'm currently located, I have that situation right there. I have things going on around me to where people are coming through this parking lot, and I got a big giant glowing green lantern emblem that you can see throughout the parking lot, and a flashing open sign, and they come up. So it's beneficial for me to no, I would never. That kid, I would never turn on the Watchmen. That Punisher, Spider-Man 129. No, there's nothing going on in that one. She's too young for that Punisher, where he's stabbing people and disemboweling people. But willing and dealing. Let's see. Yeah, that I don't know if that biased me towards him, because that pissed me off. Because, like I said, I sat through the Fluff Turtles. I hate all of those movies, most of those movies. I generally have a deep-seated, burning hatred for those movies, but I let everybody else enjoy them. If you enjoyed the Go Ninja Go hot smoldering garbage that I think those movies are, but you like them, that's fine. I never came in and said, you know what, fuck you guys, give me this, give me that. I knew why they did it. That was fine. But when it came time for Last Ronin, why did I can't get that? You want to give me more Fluff Turtles, but I can't get in my opinion, the best turtle story in the last 30 years. That's fine. So yeah, I probably have a problem with that. Let's see. All right, guys. I think I'll answer random questions. William, you should do a promotion similar to GameStop, where you take virtually anything for trading credit for the store, barring body parts, extra. Okay. That's actually not even going well for GameStop anymore. In order to do that, I need to be able to sell what they're bringing me. Everything that comes through the door that I'm considering buying, I have to have a game plan for it, and I have to be able to develop that game plan while I'm looking at it, or I can't take it in. I can't, now I've taken, and that's how I end up with a bunch of Death of Supermans, because everybody thinks that there's so many of them out there. I got like 30 of them somewhere in storage, but I bought them because I bought a box of things I could sell. But if you did it like that, people would be bringing in stuff that I'm like, that'll sit on forever. And, even if it looks cool, I got to be able to sell it. Okie dokie, fluffing turtles. Yeah, turtle fluff. I wouldn't mind watching Cave. I'm not big into that stuff, but I know it's big. Probably do big numbers when it. And I don't know anything about K-pop big numbers, but I'm open to watching it. Let's see. Dan the Man, are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles happens when the cartoon is what everyone recognizes IP as, at least as Batman hasn't suffered that fate. Yeah, and I think Batman did suffer that fate for a while, and the reason why I know so is because when it got time to start telling the darker, harder edge Batman stories, people were like, he doesn't do that, or he doesn't do that, and I'm like, well, where did you get that from? Well, when I watched the cartoon, and then I pictured myself throwing them over the banister, but I never did. But no, I think that the cartoon was what it was. The cartoons are fine until you start applying them to other interpretations of the IP. If you watch the kids cartoon and you like the kids cartoon, that's great. But when I grew up and when I'm looking for Superman or Batman, I watched the Super Friends as a kid. I'd be out of my mind if I went into any one of those movies that were on there looking for the same shit I saw as a kid. Because you know what happened between my time as a kid and my life as an adult? I grew up. The same things that satisfied me as a kid are not going to be good enough for me as an adult. But somehow with some of these IPs, people they want to take that childhood stuff into the grown people's world, and it doesn't always apply. You cannot take something that was neutered so that they could sit in front of, Fox Kids hour, and take that and bring those influences into the grown-up world, because you pared that down. Now, it was different with Superman, because Superman was widely consistent with the Superman that you would see in any version of the animated series. Batman was not. And the same thing with the Turtles. But the Turtles aren't they haven't had that much impact as far as like a Batman or a Superman. But you have guys like Ellison who only have a surface knowledge of what the Turtles were, and that's all he has in his head is the fluff shit, which is fine. It's out there. But I don't think that should be out there to the detriment or at the expense of the other things that the Turtles Foundation was built on as well. For if you want to make the case that the fluff in the 90s and Vanilla Ice dancing with those turtles, that's fine. But you cannot deny that what The Last Ronin represents is as much Turtles as anything else. And to not respect that, he's lost me. I'm not gonna see another Turtles live action movie. Not that it was top of my list anyway, but yeah, I can't forgive him either. Now, granted, Ellison's done some other stupid shit that's in there that kind of like, it's no longer a one-page hate book. He's got a whole, dictionary for me to fuck with this guy over. How come no one cared when Amazon bought MGM Studio, and the same goes for Warner Brothers buying New Line Cinema? New Line Cinema was always a subsidiary. They were always a small one that did production for other movie theaters, and losing New Line Cinema they weren't large enough to affect the supply chain. And in regards when Amazon bought MGM Studios, the main reason is Amazon was a complementary business, just like Netflix was. Amazon itself wasn't a studio yet until they had productions, but they weren't big enough to where them consuming MGM like they did. They didn't really consume MGM. MGM runs separately. It runs separately. And Amazon is a retail business. That's the core of what Amazon is selling you stuff. MGM is making movies. So there was not very much redundancy. If you notice, a lot of job loss when that happened. When you're talking with Paramount and Warner Brothers, you're talking about one major studio swallowing up another major studio. And you're literally eliminating a place to work. And when Amazon bought MGM, Amazon had the money. When Warner Brothers bought New Line, Warner Brothers had the money. New Line didn't cost that much. Paramount has a market cap of $12 billion, and they're buying a overvalued. This is everything about this is fucking crazy. They're a $12 billion market cap company making a $111 billion purchase. So an overpriced company with money that technically really is like ghost money, with money that can disappear just as quick as it appeared. All I need is a shaky investor saying, you know what, I got World War III happening over here. I think we're gonna focus our money towards other things. Or the bank says, you know what, the terms are right. You're not making. We don't think we've reassessed and decided that we use our clause in our contract to change the terms of your loans and change interest rates. That could kill anything. When you have this much out, that's not all in house. Anything can happen. So that's why when people say it's not over yet, is the case. So, all right, guys. 61 of you guys watching across all platforms. That's a good number for us. Please like and subscribe and share. Also, if you are part of the many that are watching us on X or Twitter, right down below me, youtube.com/@the Sci-Fi Center. if you can just come join the mothership. The channel is built on YouTube, even though I love the fact that you're watching me from anywhere. The channel is built on YouTube. That's where we're broadcasting from. So if you could come over and join us and watch us from there, that would be great. Tomorrow we're back to our weekend wrap up. I really don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. I know I want to save the fundraiser for Monday because I still got to put some stuff together. And but yeah, we'll just probably have. I may change my mind because just thinking about it annoys me. We may do an open panel tomorrow night for a brief, like a 5-minute in and out, not a full-on zoo like we do sometimes, but like you get 5 minutes, say a piece. So back to that. Monday, we're going to have our ASVP. We're going to refocus ourselves back on American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Tuesday will be no topic Tuesday, but I got a feeling that there's going to be a fucking topic. Wednesday will be an off day. Thursday we'll get back. We'll be 1 week removed from what may be the worst transaction in history. Who knows where we'll be who knows where we'll be in the world by then. So Thursday, Friday, we're going to start Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. We're going to start with episode 1 and 2, and then the subsequent Fridays after that. I will name a time. And I'll get with people to see who's most available at any given time. And then it's back to our usual Saturday and all that. We do it all over again. And next week is we are going to be mourning the theft of our hour. Next Saturday, I think it's next Saturday, we get fucked. We get screwed. That thief is coming. He's hanging around here right now. He's just ready to make off with my hour and keep it. But to be honest with you,
get it back.
What's up? Yeah, it's been miserable. Yeah, dude, with all the rain I got, I don't feel safe. I'm actually ready to boil. I am ready for my internal organs to sizzle. All I care about is dry, arid weather. That's it. I want the weatherman with his sad face being, we're not going to, and this guy here calls it the free stuff. I'm like, it's not free, dude. It cost me. So I'm not even fearing him. Plus, summertime, I got Comic-Con coming up. Scott Snyder is going to be at WonderCon. So I'm going to be I'm already going to WonderCon. I'm going to try to have some fun there, going to Comic-Con. WrestleMania is here. So I got a whole bunch of wrestling events that are going to be here. Probably be hosting one, hopefully. It just seems like Halloween was the other. It just seems like I was celebrating the return of our hour on the same day the Dodgers repeated as world champions. It just seems like that was yesterday. But time goes on. All right, guys.
And yes, I agree, Drogo.
I know it. I know it's really hard for you guys to bring up things that are relevant to the show.
There's never never a bad time to bring up the raid.
Yeah, on this show ever. All right, guys, I'm out. Have a good Saturday night. See you later.